Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say.
Yeah, this is Easy Artist, and you're listening to Dribbz Talks podcast. Stay locked in.
Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of Dribbz Talks, the podcast where we seek out some of society's most talented people, bring them into the hot seat to share their stories of how they come to be who they are today. And I'm pleased to bring you a man who's been flying the flag for all things hip-hop in the West Midlands for so many years now. A man whose passion and drive has kept him up there with some of the best in the scene. His name is Trademark Blood. Welcome to the show, bro.
Big up, Dribbz. Thank you very much. Big up, man.
Do you like that little intro there, Trade?
Yes, bro.
Nicing you up, like.
Of course, yeah. It's always much appreciated, bro.
You haven't heard the questions yet.
Is it going to be? Is it hot seat? Is it?
No, man. It's good. I wouldn't ask you anything that you wouldn't be able to answer. And I know you. Even if you couldn't answer, you still find an answer to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've mastered spin now.
Of course,
I'm politician level at not answering questions anyway. So.
Not answering them. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, this ain't your first rodeo. It ain't your fucking 100 rodeo either. So. Yeah, man. But I appreciate you coming down, bro. I really do.
Thanks for having me, bro.
All good. Now, although I'd like to jump in fact, firstly, for the benefit of my listeners who may never have heard of you, and if you haven't heard of Trademark Blood, where have you been? Can you give them a little, just a little brief description of who you are and where you're originally from?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. My name's Trademark Blood. I'm from Telford. I was born in Wellington in Telford in TF1. I lived in Telford pretty much my whole life, apart from a little stay in Wolverhampton, maybe 3 or 4 years in Wolverhampton. I've travelled around a lot and stayed in places, but yeah, Telford's been my base, has been my home for an awfully long time now. I've been rapping since before I can remember, really, since I first ever saw hip-hop. I've been rapping, freestyling, doing it all kind of not professionally forever, and then I sort of started taking it serious in about 2008. And I've never looked back, really. I've just been doing more and more and achieving more and more, and enjoying the journey still.
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about, enjoying it, innit? If you're not enjoying these things, then why do we do them? Do you know what I mean? Life's stressful enough, man.
For real.
You've got to find a bit of an outlet, haven't you? And that's kind of what I find with everything, you know. When things get a bit much, it's the music that I turn to. I've got a lot to thank for this music, do you know what I mean?
Real talk.
Without being too emotional, I've got a lot to thank. I've got a lot to thank for this music, but
it changes lives, bro.
It really does. It really does. And I know that you're a busy guy with family life, with music, and with work and everything else. So I appreciate that you've took the time to come down tonight, man. I really do. So I'd like to jump in with everything that you're currently doing, but I think it's really important that, kind of keeping in order with most of my past podcasts, I want to take the time to learn of your journey from way back to the very start. So Trade, tell me, growing up, was you from a musical household?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's always music on in our house. My mom listened to reggae quite a lot. My dad, when he was around, my mom and my dad were together till I was about 6 years old. So the first 6 years of my life, my dad played soul music, Otis Redding, a little bit of kind of 60s rock-esque stuff. Just really great music, basically. Or looking back now at sort of the stuff that I was hearing, it is still some of the greatest music ever made across any genre or time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff from the 60s, really.
It's the roots of everything that we do today, isn't it?
Motown, the reggae around that time, the dub, lovers rock, just amazing music, stands the test of time. Like sort of, without trying to rubbish any sort of era or genre, I think there's a lot of eras of music that won't be around but 60s is very strong still, and I think it will be in another 100 years.
I mean, how mad's that, man? I mean, it's 2025 now, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's mad that these things, people still put on, you know, tracks from that era and enjoy them. Do you know what I mean?
And they still sound good. Which, considering the polish that they put on songs now, it shouldn't sound good to us.
No.
So there's something about that dusty, unpolished sound that holds weight and value. Do you know what I mean? And it's done a lot in hip hop where they make songs sound dusty. You know what I mean?
On purpose,
so,
like
exactly,
for sure. And it, you know, this with me, like, I mean, from that era, like you're talking about the 60s, it was pure vinyl back then. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, you didn't have your MP3s and WAVs and all that kind of stuff. And like, for me personally, like I've got a turntable in the house, and it ain't from a DJ point of view; it's from a music point of view. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd sooner listen to that crackle on them vinyls.
Exactly.
From like, I've got 2-pack EPs. You know, I've got so much stuff, and I just. Yeah, and my daughter's the same as well now, bro, and I like that because she's 16, and most 16-year-olds, it's Spotify and it's Shazam and it's Amazon Music, whereas that girl collects her vinyl, man, and goes upstairs and listens to them, and that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
That's dope, man. Yeah, that's.
Do you know what I mean?
That is cool.
It is cool. A cool thing, like, and
to
you know,
appreciate because I go charity shopping it and get all these records. Like, and I just love the sound of them.
That's the one, man. You can't beat it. You can't beat it.
You can't beat it.
I'm like you though, mate. I head straight for them charity shops. I'm the one that's crate digging on my hands and knees. You know what I mean? Going through about.
Allow HMV. Like, no disrespect to HMV, of course, but allow. Don't get your vinyl from HMV.
Nah. And
£40 a pop.
And while I say it, and this is a bit controversial, but don't buy my album from HMV either. I keep telling people it was all very good to look at.
You make a lot less, don't you,
bro?
Than hand to hand. You driving to man's yard.
Trust me.
You might as well do it's in there from a marketing perspective, not from a sales perspective. Yeah,
bro. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it would be the same with you, but you know, you don't have to comment on this, but I put it out there. I don't care, man. They take 70% of my earnings, bro.
Something like that, yeah.
So my album's £10, man. They make £7. I make £3 an album.
It's the same across the board.
It is what it is, and it looks good. It's nice to say your album's for sale in HMV. It's my first time it's ever been in there, so I was gassed. You know what I mean? It was
cool, yeah.
And it was good for the socials, and you know, alongside it with yourself, you know, they invited me in to perform the tracks in store, so I was able to do that in an intimate environment.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was wicked. Like, I enjoyed that. But anyway, we're going a bit off topic here. Do you feel that kind of growing up in Telford as a youth taught you some valuable life lessons when it came to like real life living?
That's a loaded question, that is, bro.
Bro, you can go as brief or as detailed as you want. I'm just giving you the opportunity, Trade.
It taught me everything I know, man, and like the good and the bad. Like Telford as a place, it can. The good thing about Telford is it can be whatever you want it to be. Now, I know doctors that live and work in Telford, and if you went up to them and said, is Telford a bad area to live in, they'd laugh at you and say, oh my god, Telford is the best place I've ever lived in my life.
Serious?
Yeah. And then you could go to one of my brethrens around the corner and say, what's Telford like? And he say, from the day I was born up until now, Telford has been a living hell. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's the most ghettoest, dirtiest, horrible place I've ever lived. Now, how can two people that live in the same place have such polar opinions?
It's very true, mate. Yeah, it's interesting, that is.
And it's facts.
Yeah.
And I think I've learnt the good and the bad from the place. And like I hustle a lot. I've hustled a lot on both sides of the law, and I hustle a lot on the right side of the law now. And even the legal hustles that I do, the reason they work so well is because of how I grew up in Telford, really.
Yeah. No, I get that for sure. Was it easy around your ends to be involved with the wrong crowd, and you know, did you find yourself getting into a bit of trouble?
Yeah, that's to be honest. So I started in Sutton Hill and Madeley, like, so they were the two places I started, and that was up until, like I said before, my mum and dad split up when I was 6. So at that point is when I came to Montgomery. And when I was 6 years old, I'd already, and I still can't believe it, because when I look at 6-year-olds, I'm like, how is this happening? And bear in mind, I did have my older brother who was 9 with me, but we'd already skived school for a week, got caught skiving school because we were playing outside school.
At 6?
At 6, bro, and my brother was 9. These are facts. Like, look, next time you look at a 6-year-old, picture this kid who's walked to the school gates, turned around with his older brother and gone, yeah, allow that, let's
Wow.
dust. Gone in the woods and that, we're playing in the woods, and then because we're so oblivious, we're so young, we're playing outside school. We're playing on a park outside school, and there's a window cleaner who's a friend of the family, and he's walked past us. He's gone, "You're not skiving, are you, lads?" And we're like, "Nah, Mom says we're allowed to be here." Like, and it's like, so then we got snitched on, and we got
Of course
caught.
you did.
And like, so there was that. I remember like nicking stuff out of a sweet shop at the same age as well, and there must have been something in the water, because I was gravitated to doing bad things before I knew what they were. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I came to Montgomery, obviously things started to escalate, and I started to gravitate towards people of that ilk. So we were, I mean, people that know me know the deal, and I don't ever really go into great detail, but I got in an awful lot of trouble, committed an awful lot of crimes, and just did a lot of bad stuff that I regret all of it now. And it made me who I am, and it allows me to help the kids that I help who are in similar situations that I was in. Like, I do workshops in prisons and schools and community centres, etc., and it's all based around that, getting pulled into the wrong crowd and making wrong decisions for different kind of reasons.
See, I suppose if you were kind of sat on your high horse and you'd never had any run-ins with the law, and then you're in a prison doing workshops and that, it ain't gonna stick too well, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No, well, when I was a kid and I had social workers and other workers working with me, those were the people that were working with me. It was different back then.
Yeah.
So like, I had people that had read what my life is like in a book, and then they've come to tell me, well, I've done a degree in this, so I'll tell you what's going on. It's like, bro, you haven't got a clue. Do you know what I mean? And obviously I wasn't old enough to articulate that to them, but looking back now, it's like, what a complete waste of time that was. The
100%.
guy hasn't got a clue.
Yeah,
because he thinks you've got a compulsion, or he thinks you're down the wrong path, and what people don't understand is that you are who you are, and regardless of kind of how much you try and pull away from something, you'll always find yourself back in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Until you're old and mature enough to consciously break the cycle.
Sure, man.
Do you know what I mean?
I think you're probably the same as me with regards to, I mean, I didn't have that background like that, but I came from a household where my dad was quite violent, so I seen a few things that kids should never see. Do you know what I mean? And I think like growing up now, I'm a foster carer now, and I think that's contributed to it, because I feel like there's some of these circumstances, not everyone, but some of these circumstances with these kids, I can kind of relate. I went through contact centres to see my dad and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And now I've grew up to be a foster carer and doing that, kind of bridging that gap. And like, I always try with the advocating, with the music, I always try to be, I always say, and it's quite a big one-liner for me, I always say, I want to be that's someone that I needed when I was that age.
Facts, bro.
You're
Bang on the
with
money,
me on
that
that
is,
one,
mate. Bang on the money. That's exactly the ethos that I have in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And from the music perspective as well, with culturetainment, and that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because we all had to go the long way around everything. Do you know what I mean? And like, a few people, the only advice I ever got was like, you want to, don't do that, man, you'll get yourself in trouble. And it's like, well, I'm making money. Like, if I stop doing this, what do you want me to do? Go and work in a factory? I'm making like twice as much as what these men are making in a week, in a day. Do you know what I mean? Like, what, you mad?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Give me some sense. Like, and what I would say to younger me would be like, well, yeah, but you give it 10 years and see where you end up, and that profit that you're making is going to get drained some other way. Some of your friends are going to be here, some of your friends are going to be there, some of your friends are no longer going to be around, they're going to be dead because of the life you're living. Do you know what I mean? And 100%. Then I'd go on to say, and also there's a whole world of white collar and corporate crime that are doubling and tripling what this little bit of money you're talking about, and they're doing it legally off your back, and then they're putting you in prison, and they own the prisons, and they're making money off that too. I would have listened to that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have said, it's all a scam. You need to start playing this way, bruv. Play this way, so by the time you get to my age, you're winning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would have listened to that, I think.
No, I get that. So what was Telford like as a town to live in back then? If you think of way back then to now, is there a massive difference, do you think? Do you think it's, and obviously economy, there's a big difference. There's a lot of money gone into Telford, but yeah, give me an idea of kind of compared to then and now.
That's a good question, and like, to be fair, like, Telford is a better place now in terms of things to do, the way the council engage with community in a different way, like the balloon festival, and do you know what I mean? There's more to do, and I think things are more involved, and definitely there's more been built here. Like you say, there's been more investment here, so in all, it's a better place for that. And at the same time, I'd say there's less of a community feel to Telford now than there used to be.
I agree, bro. I do agree with that, man.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So we've lost as well as gained, I think.
There's people that live next door to people that have never spoke to him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe that's not a Telford thing. Maybe that's a societal thing anyway. Up and down the...
Yeah, maybe. I only have to speak to, like, my mom. I used to speak to my granddad about this, but like back in the day, especially because I'm originally from Donington, so I'm only going off kind of Donington because I didn't really, like, back in the day I had no other reason to go out of Donington, do you know what I mean? So although I did, but I never had a regular reason to do that. But my granddad would talk of like open door policy, do you know what I mean? How like the door would always be open, and I said, like, nowadays 2025, you've got people living next door to you that you've never spoke to, Trade.
Facts, bro.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it don't even seem weird either.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem foreign to us. It's like, that's standard.
You know
what I mean? Like, this is life, I guess.
It's crazy, man. Did you, like, thinking back to your youth, and we're just going to touch on your youth before we move on to other things, because I think, like, it's nice for people to get a bit of a kind of outlook of yourself as a person to what shaped you as a man now. Was there any particular experience that you had that shaped you as a person, would you say?
Oh man, just
or was there lots of different things?
never ending ones. Like, I'd be stuck to think of one.
Okay,
to be honest, like, I think like, it's in terms of stages, I think I started to go off the rails as a person from when my mum and dad split up. Do you know what I mean? So that impacted me. I was about 6 years old. There's a bit of violence. There was a lot of madness that went on. Like, I won't get into it, of course, but there was a lot of madness that went on that will impact a kid in a negative way. And so I think I started to go off the rails as a person then. And obviously crime, drugs, all the rest of it just escalated as it does with age. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say first turning point was probably a breakup of my parents. I'd say the second one was when I got in serious trouble with the police when I was about 12. Which, again, when you look at 12-year-olds, I'm thinking, how are you like that? And I was like what happened that I wasn't just being a child anymore? I was being this different kind of half being a man, other half being a criminal, and what the hell? Like, where was the childhood? Where was the fun? I don't even remember what toys. I'm sure I had toys. Don't remember them. Probably had less interest in toys. Do you know what I mean? And more interest in crime.
I mean, they do say, like, I mean, I don't know how good your memory is, but like with regards, say, like, your mum and dad splitting up, they do say it's quite a well-known fact, really, that you block out trauma. And trauma doesn't have to be something horrendous, but I mean, that's a big deal, your mum and dad splitting up. Doesn't matter what age you are, like, do you know what I mean? Especially of a younger who can't really fully understand their emotions anyway. Because, the most standard practice of being a child is mum and dad are together.
Yeah.
And, like, I know that always doesn't work out in many different, I was raised by a single parent pretty much most of my childhood. But, yeah, man, there's parts of my childhood, and it was all mainly down to my father and what he put you through. But it's been blocked out, so I find it hard to remember these things. Yeah,
same. And I not only that, I think I've trained my brain to do that consistently. So I have massive gaps and forget all sorts of stuff. Possibly, smoke weed for loads of years as well. I know that impacts your memory, but I do remember. Funnily, excuse the pun, I do remember forgetting a lot of stuff.
Trey does remember forgetting stuff. That's brilliant, mate.
I don't know what it is, but I definitely remember I forgot something.
I love that. That's the quote of the night, man. That's brilliant.
But so going on from that, so I think that impacted me to start doing bad. Then I got in serious trouble with the police. That made me angry at the world, and I felt like the world owed me something, even though it was my fault. at that age I felt like the victim. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that changed me again. That made me really ruthless. So when I was back on the street at 16, I was terrible. I was really bad. Do you know what I mean? I can't even begin to say.
Yeah, you don't need to, stuff. Bro. You don't need to.
And then onwards, I think I started to mature, and I started to reflect, I think, and that's when my mental health issues started, and I didn't know what they were at the time. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, man, for
it's
sure.
Only like I've had therapy since, and I've had a lot of stuff explained to me. That I always thought anxiety came first, but I was depressed before I had anxiety. It's just I didn't know what depression was because it's my everyday normality for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that was just a way of being.
I know what you're saying there. Like when I did my counselling, I did childhood trauma counselling. It was specific to what I needed at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And you know, on my first session of the counselling, where they get you to like they score, don't they? Do you know what I mean? To see how you feel, and then what the intention is, they score you then, and they want to score you at the last to see how far you've come. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I weren't aware of that at the time. They were just asking me all these questions, and when he said, "I think you're depressed," I didn't believe it, bro. I'm not depressed.
It's mad,
but because it was a norm for me, Trade.
Yeah,
it's a norm for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I felt every day. I ain't depressed.
It's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Just
it's
that
crazy.
negative kind of hopeless outlook on everything, and it's hard to shift, and it's hard to understand why there would be a different thing. And when you kind of get like therapied out of it, you're like, oh shit, you're looking at it like, fuck, man.
It was there, like the signs were there, but I didn't. Yeah, crazy, it's mad, bro. It's mad. So, you know, as a youth, did you have any aspirations of what you wanted to be when you were older?
After like wanting to be Scarface, like everyone else on in Montgomery, which was a genuine, apart from the dying bit at the end, but that was Tony Montana's fault, you know what I mean? He didn't have to die, man.
No, he didn't, did he?
But then again, he would have had to kill the kid, so, you know.
True story. Let's go with him dying then. It's the better outcome, man.
Yeah, man. I told you, no kids!
What did you academically achieve in school, bro?
No, I didn't finish school, man. I didn't finish school. I went to once, I was in year 8 and I got chucked out, and then I did maybe about 6 months of year 10, and then I got in loads of trouble again, and my mum tried to fix it up so that I actually resat a year. So I went back to this school in Wolverhampton, and everyone that I was in the year with was now a year 11. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably one of the only people in England, because in America it's normal to resit a year, but in England that don't happen.
Right.
But somehow I managed to be a year 11 in year 10.
As if?
I swear down. So I had this whole group of friends that knew me from before, when we were year 8s, because I got kicked out in Telford and went to Wolves. I was there for about 3-4 months. Yeah, and then I went back in year 10, and they was all like, oh my god, this guy's back, but they've put him in year 10, and we're all year 11s. So I was obviously not feeling that at all. Did it for about 3-4 weeks, sacked it off, left with no GCSEs, nothing. Well, say ran away from home. I was 16 at the time, so I left home. Or prior to that, I'd ran away hundreds of times. At 16, you leave home. So I left home at 16, and moved into Manor Heights, as you do, and cracked on from there. And no academics, nothing. I was all right at school as well, in the way that I could do the work. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really struggle with the academic side of it. I was okay. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Just the rest of my life wouldn't allow me to achieve anything in that regard, you know.
So was there a particular person in your youth that you like, who stood out in your childhood, someone that you looked up to?
Except for Tony Montana, of course.
Aside from Tony Montana.
Do you know what? It's probably cliche, and I think a lot of rappers from my era say it, but actually Tupac was like, because I didn't have a dad.
Yep.
He probably wasn't that much older than me either. He's the closest thing. It's sad, really, but he's the closest thing to a dad I ever had, because the way he spoke and the passion he spoke with, and the rebelliousness, and the fact that he knew the world was a mess, and it took people like him to take action, sometimes violent action, sometimes action that people won't understand or agree with, in order to make a change. That was the person I became. Do you know what I mean?
I get
heavily
that.
influenced by.
And isn't it mad, bro? And I've said this
ethos.
before. Yeah. And isn't it mad how, like, he passed in 96? Do you know what I mean? We're in 25 now. Isn't it mad how his content of lyrics is still very relevant today?
Still relevant, yeah.
How mad's that?
Yeah.
I call his tracks, because I'm a big fan of Tupac, bro. Like, back in the day, I'd have all the posters on my wall. I had all of his films on VHS. I had, like, Juiced, Poetic Justice with Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
That's one of my all-time favourite films. Gridlocked.
Gridlocked.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, crazy. But, and still my favourite album is All Eyes on Me, or what was the other one? Still I Rise. That was fuck, I love that album, man. Letter to the President, big track. But anyway, isn't it mad how it's so applicable still today? And like I said to you, like, he died in 96, man. That's a very, very long time ago. And you'd think that kind of the theming of what he was talking about, you'd think we've come a million miles, and we have come a long way since then, but there's still a lot of that stuff going on that, and a lot of the authorities, from what I've read into, they hated with the stuff that he was saying, because he was outing them for what they were. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. And the CIA back then were still in. They were still letting go of the old CIA.
Yes.
That was really, like, literally destabilizing, like, countries and bringing down and taking over for resources and doing proper mad stuff.
100%, yeah.
That now they do in a much more articulated way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
still the same thing, but
less ruthless as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, less people die while they do it and stuff. But I mean, back then there's kidnap people, give them LSD, and
literally.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's why I think Tupac was in the mix of it. And not only Tupac, there's a lot of rappers from that era that were actually watched and phone tapped and all that. And it's merely from a perspective of black empowerment. And that was the enemy. Like,
and he was, to me, like, even though I was just a young white lad listening to it, he was the voice of, black kind of culture.
Yeah.
And
the
he was
youth, I think.
Yeah, and beyond, the youth as well,
blackness,
bro.
I think.
100%, yeah. So moving on from your, inspirations and looking to more of the progression from being a youth right up until now, do you remember what age roughly you were when you first began to write lyrics? Like, I know you said you've been writing them for as long as you can remember, roughly.
Yeah, writing lyrics.
What we're talking, roughly?
The first song I wrote was a song, not a rap, and I would have been 6-7 years old.
Serious?
Yeah. I can't remember it or nothing, but I know I was writing songs at that age. The first rap I wrote... See, the problem with me is I freestyle rapped for, like, the first 4 years of my rapping. So I reckon I was probably 11 or 12. Probably when I wrote my first rap. I definitely remember performing a rap in year 7 at my school.
Did you?
Wrote, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, come on.
And it was heavily influenced by Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. I think it could have been someone else. There was someone in the limelight at the time that was rapping. That it was kind of like, it was just it was that it was influenced by that. I remember it well, and I did it with this other lad, but I wrote it all, and like me and him just rapped it. Like, I can't remember why we were doing it. Yeah, so that's definitely year 7. What does that make you? That's 13, innit? 12,
something 13. Like that, mate. Yeah.
And that wasn't the first one I wrote.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, probably 10, 11.
Your rapper name has always been, to me, it's always been cemented within our local scene, and I love the play on words with this before life, understand death. Has your name always been Trademark Blood, or did you toy around with a few more names before settling with that?
The only name I had before, so Trademark was the Blood I added after. When in MySpace era I added Blood, because when I joined MySpace and searched for Trademark, there was about 25,000 trademarks and they were all rappers.
Right.
I was like, okay, I need to, I need a USP sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I added Blood after, but Trademark, my brother came up with that. DJ Copyright, big up Copyright. So my name's Tim Mark Rogers, innit? So he said, he said you can be Trademark, as in T Mark, and I'll be Copyright because his name's Carl with a K, innit? And so the only name I had before that was Ninja or Car, and that was also my brother who'd met, and we called ourselves Ninja and Car, like ninja and karate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and I'm sure I was Car because Ninja sounded cooler, but actually it makes more sense that Copyright was Car because he was Carl. I can't remember. He'll have to clarify. But that's the only other name I've ever had. So I've been trademarked for a hell of a long time, man. Before we were writing, releasing and making proper music, I was trademarked as like an MC, you know.
Now, like many of us growing up in this particular era, we would head to our house parties, to our nearest mates, all pile into the room and freestyle rap at each other. In them days, I was totally dog shit when it comes to rapping, but I was having fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd watch the 8 Mile film. I thought I was B Rabbit, especially kind of in that era. Now, while thankfully there's no footage of me out there doing it, I still never regret these moments because they all helped me to kickstart my love for this music, and the culture that surrounded it. What was your first experience of hip hop culture, would you say?
Breakdancing. My first experience of hip hop culture. Nothing to do with MCing or DJing. Breakdancing. I think there's a film called Breakdance. Came out in '88. Possibly watched it when it came out. Can't remember, but I do remember rewatching it in the 90s, or it probably came on telly, didn't it? Or we had it on video maybe, and that was that's the first, so maybe like 88, 89, 90. So I was like 8 years old maybe. So breakdancing, and me and my brother tried to do breakdancing and kind of learn the moves, and we didn't know it's like break in the background, and do you know what I mean, like the fundamental like root of MCing over boom bap. It was we were being like injected with it into our ears, you know. But definitely breakdancing, and then probably I was exposed to the MC side, what pulled me into the DJ side, with the DJ being the original element of hip hop. And and I think the graffiti's always there, but you don't look at it as an element of hip hop until you've embracing hip hop as a culture. You just look at it as graffiti. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
But,
now when you was writing this music, like, for you being like quite a cemented name within the Midland scene now, was there anyone doing this well before you? Do you know what I mean? That you looked up to, that was, I don't mean people that were mainstream or big artists. I mean local people that was getting into it and were making waves.
The only person I can think, well, to be fair, my brother got me into it all. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't necessarily say he was rapping before me, because I think we both sort of started together. But I'd say understanding of hip hop culture and kind of access to all the different stuff out there, like Wu-Tang, for example. My brother introduced me to Wu-Tang. I didn't know who they were. He showed me who they were, for example. So definitely my brother, and he was very, very lyrical. When we first started rapping, like extremely lyrical, probably a lot of Wu-Tang influence there, like particularly RZA and stuff, who back then was like super, like really like complex. Do you know what I mean? And so I think all of that rubbed off on me, being 3 years younger than him. So definitely my brother. He
still does a bit now, doesn't he? Our Copyright.
He still does a bit now. You know what I mean? Freestyles at his shows and that. Yeah,
he does.
But like I say, I wouldn't necessarily say really he was out there doing stuff before me. We kind of started together in a lot of ways. But Dizzy, now that's someone who, albeit he doesn't do rap or hip hop, he is definitely someone who was, when he was doing Dimension, I was still in the hood. We were listening to him in the radio, lean up somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, he'd probably walk past us because we were all in Ligomri. He'd be like, yeah, I'm going up to the block or wherever they were doing it to go do the show. And we'd be like, we'll tune in then. Do you know what I mean? And so as much as, again, I wouldn't say he was out there, but he was, before I even started anything, because we were all doing it. But I'd say Dizzy was doing actual shows, whereas that was something that wasn't even on my radar. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was actually going onto the radio and doing it, and that so I think that was an influence on me as well, to kind of know I don't just have to be stood outside Ligomri Spa with a zoot and a beer. I could actually go and do this. I could go and perform or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, big up Dizzy, man.
Yeah, big up Diz, man.
100%. Now, I know from, I'm going to say a few years ago, but it's probably quite a few years ago now, you released a track with my good friend Pixel. And I'm sure, was it called Manor Heights, or was it related to Manor Heights? Because you shot a music video there as well, outside the original Manor Heights before it got revamped.
Yeah,
is it called Grief?
Yeah, No Grief it's called.
Oh, No Grief, okay,
yeah.
right, yeah. But that was with Pixel, the producer, who's now an avid kind of drum and bass producer. But yeah, man, doing my research, I found that track. Now, I was going to ask you if there's a connection with Manor Heights, but you've told me earlier in the podcast that actually you lived there.
I did, yeah.
Tell me what Manor Heights was like back in the day, because trust me, from someone that kind of appreciates my local history, the amount of times I've drove past that place, more so before it got revamped, you know, looking at it, and it was just stood there derelict for years, man.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I always thought, I wonder what type of characters live there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if there was mad house parties, because I used to hear like these. I
thought you was about there still.
Nah,
you just denying it.
I told you I never came out of Donington. I never came out of Donington.
It, man. You got up to something naughty there, and you're like, never been up Manor Heights.
Trust me, I never went in there, bro. To the point, right? Listen to this. You're gonna think this is sad as fuck. Listen to this. When Manor Heights had its revamp, and they started like putting up the rooms for rent or to buy them, I don't know what they were doing with them anyway. I said to my wife, I wanted to go and just ring them up and just pretend that I was interested, just so I could go in there and just go up to the top floor and have a look at the view from the top, man.
Oh, the view from the top's crazy.
I bet it's wicked.
It is crazy. You can see so much, man. You can see a lot of Horton Wood, or you could, like, a lot of it. Do you know what I mean? And you can see well into Ketley easily. Yeah. Easily, like
but I bet there's some, I mean, obviously you don't have to say, bro, but I mean, I bet there's some mad characters that lived in that place, and there's been some mad stories as well.
Have you ever seen New Jack City, bro? It was like New Jack City in there, bro.
Because I did hear, bro, and I don't know if you can confirm this, but I did hear that, like, back in the day, they'd have like open kind of house parties, and like each floor would have a different kind of genre of music in, and you just kind of mill about the place. I don't know how true that is. Someone mentioned that to me, man.
I've never seen that, but definitely each one thing I do know is each floor had its own particular smell of drugs. Do you know what I mean?
Of course it did.
Like, you could go heroin, crack, weed, draw quite easily. Do you know what I mean? And really, it wasn't the floors, it was just whatever room you're going past. But that's the way it felt as a kid. The place was ghetto as hell, bro. Ghetto as hell. They did some massive sting. Remember that sting they did? I think they arrested about 25 people for some 12 grand a day crack ring or something.
And that was there?
Yeah, that was all Manor Heights. Like, people were getting shot. People got shot out of the window, bruv. Like 2 or 3 people got shot out the wood. Someone shot someone from like the 9th floor or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, what weapon it was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably an air rifle or something. Do you know what I mean? But it was. I was a kid there. I was told when I went there. My brother was already there. He's probably like, he was 18, 19. I was 16, innit? And so I was a kid in there. There wasn't many 16-year-olds in there that lived there. You know, a lot of 16-year-olds went up to go and get their weed and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, not many 16-year-olds lived there, and there was people I was told not to get in the lift with if they're stood in the lift. There's people who used to go up and down in the lift waiting for man to get in and rob them, innit?
I heard that, man.
Do you know what I mean? So they're like, but we knew who they were and that. So my brother's just like, yeah, don't get in the lift with him. But because he's saying that to like a youngster,
you gonna do it?
I didn't know. I just never got the lift.
I was gonna say, if someone tells you not to do something, man, as a youngster,
I never got that lift. Do you know how much bro? People, that lift stunk like piss, man. Worse than a urinal stinks, bro. Like, it was rugged, man. You go in there, you have to hold your breath. The place was grimy as hell. But I mean, that's a lot of negative stuff. For the parties and for the fact that there's just a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds all with their own flats. They're all like got these big sound systems, and everyone's into music. Third Generation was up there. We had reggae sound systems, drum and bass, hip hop. Everyone was a DJ. There was MCs. People were writing songs. It was a creative hub, and it was like. And then the Cross Keys was downstairs, and so people just went and like performed in the Cross Keys, or Generation was always on in there. I used to go around with Generation and, like, you know, carry the speakers in with them, and they're playing Dudley, or West Brom or something, and I'd just tag along. I wasn't even old enough to get in the club. I'd just carry a speaker in front of my face and just walk in, put the speaker down, and I'd be in there like that. And Williams or one of them would get me a drink, so I couldn't even go to the bar or nothing, you know what I mean? And it'd just bust me one drink. I used to think I was the man. And it's like, because I'd gone from like being told to go back a year in school, living at home, to like living in the block of Manor Rights, a free agent, rocking up into the club.
It's crazy, man. It's nice. It's nice to speak to someone who actually, has experienced Manor Heights, because I'd heard a lot of stories and I wanted to know kind of the real deal with the place, man. Do you know what I mean? The real deal with the place.
It was bonkers. It was.
I'm sure they breathed a sigh of relief when they kicked the last person out, man. Come on.
Yeah, it was out of control, man. It's to be expected. Like, I mean, they could have put all kinds of different people in, but they decided to put everyone that's jumped on the council housing list that's 18, 19, 20.
Whack them all in together, man.
What are you going to get, man?
It's right, isn't it? And there ain't many of them high-rise in Telford, really, is there? Do you know what I mean? So, that was kind of one of its own. But it's nice to see that it still stood, and, obviously a lot of money's gone into it now. I know they were putting them out for, like, doctors and nurses who worked at the Princess Royal.
That's what I heard. I also heard someone said, it's gone back to how it was. But I don't know how true that is.
No, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it seems a bit weird.
I mean, you can't polish a turd, bro, but, it's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, though.
Yeah, definitely, bro. So, regarding the music then, at what point did you go from rapping and writing lyrics, in your room or with mates, to a realisation that you could actually take this serious at some point?
You see, that one I remember well, because it's 2008, and I remember 2008 because I met this person. I said that really ominously.
You did, didn't you? You did.
I met this person and went to their house for a drink and whatnot. I went with my brother Copyright, and I drunk a bottle of rum, basically. Got absolutely wasted, and had to get a taxi home. Got in a taxi, and I was in the back, like, waved, freestyling and that to myself. And the guy in the car turned out to be Corey, Hardcore, and he's a Jamaican bloke who lived around these ways. And he did rap as well. Like, and he stopped the car and went, "Bro, you spitting bars, man." And I was like, yeah, because I was wasted, bro. And he took my number and hit me up the next day and said, "I want to do a proper thing. Like, I've been looking for rappers and that." So me, him, and Ash One,
yeah, man,
set up TF1 movement, and that is at that point when I thought we can do this on a professional level. And we kind of did, first trip to a studio ever, first gig ever. Well, tell a lie, me and Ash had done gigs before that, actually just spitting, but first proper gig on the flyer and all that, and first music video, the whole lot. First stage shows, competitions, Oaken Gates Theatre, one of our first gigs, and I got the real vibe for it. Realised that actually I can make money out of this. I could see the world. That's the thing that got me. As soon as I knew I could see the world with it and different places, I was hooked.
Yeah, I get that.
I think it's why I'm still hooked now, to be honest.
Yeah. Ash One, man, that's a name from the past, bro. King of the Adidas trainers, man.
Yeah. He's got a hell of a lot of Adidas trainers.
So many. I love how he kind of, collabs them with like the outfits he's wearing and that, man. That's swag, that is, bro.
He tried to give me a pair, and I was like, it doesn't feel the same when you've got 900 pairs. You know what I mean? It's like, here's a present for you, bro. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You've got 900 of them, man. It's just a pair you don't like.
That's exactly that. Now, many rappers drew inspiration from, their neighbourhoods, experiences, and the people around them. How much does where you grew up shape the theme and the stories that you tell about in your music?
It's all there. It literally is. It's all like.
Let's face it. You got a track called Montgomery, haven't you? Say no more.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd like to pride myself on keeping it real, and I know everyone says that, but I also know 90% of people that say it actually don't, and I know that for a fact. Do you know what I mean? But I try and keep it to the nose, and when something's out, keeping it real actually is difficult. So you have to navigate to be creative at the same time. You have to navigate a thin line. Like, if I write a song about being an astronaut, for example, I've never been an astronaut, so how do I make that real? Well, I would make it real by speaking about my own experiences. Like, at an overdose, for example. Do you know what I mean? And I'll apply what an overdose feels like.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, okay.
To being an astronaut. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that way I can speak about either A, being an astronaut, or B, having an overdose without being fake, without saying, well, my name's Neil Armstrong and I'm on the moon. My name's not Neil Armstrong, I'm not on the moon. So what I do is I use metaphors to keep it real.
Clever way of doing it, bro.
Yeah, and I think it's the best way to do it, because otherwise if you tell yourself to keep it real and never step out of the box of your reality, then you're pigeonholed to very few songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You have to creatively expand without lying in a way, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the problem with a lot of rap nowadays is that people lie because they want themselves to look like they're gangsters or they're cool. People talk about they got guns, they don't even know how to clean them, take them apart, shoot them. Do you know what I mean? You're having a laugh.
It's too much of it these days, isn't there, bro?
Yeah. And I'm not on none of that. There's no need for it.
Around here, man, you get the people that walk around with a limp and they're like, oh, I'm from the ghetto, and I'm like, come on, bro, you're from this beautiful countryside of Shropshire, man.
Right,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know there's nitty gritty, don't get me wrong, I know that.
Of course, yeah.
But you know what I mean? You're surrounded by greenery, and it's just I don't know,
gets
man.
worse. Like, it gets, the way I see it is, you can have a terrible life here if you make it for
like
yourself.
you said, you make what you want to Telford, don't you?
But it gets worse as far as living conditions go, and actual ghetto conditions. It gets way worse than
Telford.
You know
Of course,
what I mean?
man. Now, the saying "you never forget your first" has never been so applicable with us artists. So I want to know from you, what was the first track that you officially put out? Not the first track you wrote, bro, the first track that you officially put out across, I'm going to say, because progressing with technology, obviously things changed, and that officially across streaming sites.
I don't know.
I'm testing you here, bro.
I don't know. I had a mixtape that I put out on Dat Piff.
That'll do, bro. That'll do, man.
And that was called The Minotaur. And that was before Spotify existed.
I'm going to say, is Dat Piff some sort of streaming site?
Yeah, Dat Piff is
never heard of that.
Was like a mixtape streaming site.
Okay.
And you could get anything from there. So it was a bit like a bootlegger thing as well. Like, you could get like a Gets mixtape on there. But this stuff you couldn't always buy anyway, but I think the stuff you could buy was there as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Minotaur probably was, and Facebook was going then, so I had the promotion network of people, and I built from that. I think it's down now, which I'm fine with, because I think I recorded it through a pair of headphones, not even
no way,
bruv. Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
So I'm pretty sure I did. So it's good that it's not there, but I've got it somewhere. So it exists, you know.
I mean, you're from the same era as me, roughly. So, like, where it would be, like, we'd record, like, I mean, for the drum and bass side, because, like, the hip-hop I've got into later as an adult, so I can't really talk about, like, the hip-hop as a main focus as a youngster, because it was all drum and bass for me, drum and bass MCing, do you know what I mean? And, like, I caught the back end of Dimensions, so, I was on a few of them shows, and then it went to, like, Midlands Rush FM, I kind of come through the pirate radio scene with, like, the Nokia 402s and One Tone if you want the reload and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? That was all part of, like, my era, really. But, for me, making demos, for example, like now, if I wanted to contact a promoter, I'd go, here's my Mixcloud link, I'd love to perform at your thing. Whereas back in the day, I would record a mix on a tape.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Write my contact details on the tape and then physically turn up to that rave and hand the tape to the promoter, man.
Yeah,
so what I want to know off you is, like, as technology's progressed and we're now on, like, your Spotify, we're now on SoundCloud, all that kind of stuff, how did you cope with that change, bro? Because for me, I found it quite difficult, man. Like, when the change come, where it was like, right now, everything has to be a profile online. Do you know what I mean? Everything has to go through these streaming sites, bro. I didn't even know I know Spotify is, like, in the grand scheme of how long we've been doing it, a fairly recent thing. But
it is, yeah,
man, the crossover, I really found it difficult, bro.
Yeah, do you know what? I didn't find it as I didn't find it that difficult, and I've got a feeling that's because my brother is a computer programmer.
Okay.
So as far as technology goes, I think I've probably been kept ahead of it.
Get you?
Because I know someone that is able to write the code that makes these things happen. And although I'm nowhere near that way inclined, there's loads I've watched him code games, do you know what I mean?
Really?
Like years and years of code or whatever, lines and lines, you know.
Mad.
And I think so technology has never really, I was like a duck to water with it, really, with all of it. It's like even the TF1 stuff, I did all that. I managed it all. We went through Zimbalam, I think, is a French distributor at the time, which would have put it everywhere. Again, Spotify didn't exist when we would. I forgot what we were being streamed on, to be honest. Deezer, wasn't it, or something?
Deezer.
Yeah. So I did all that, and it was all straightforward to me. And then
good,
there's kind of like the legal side of it as well, I guess. I don't know. I've just been I'm pretty good with details, I guess. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say I'm analytical, but yeah, just everything seemed to be quite easy for me to grasp and understand.
Yeah. Now, if you knew what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently when you were writing and releasing your first tracks?
Yeah, I would have. So Trademark Blood became a product at some point, and I went from being a rapper to being an artist. And what I would have done is maybe not waited, because we're talking about the last few years, but I would have ensured that I reached that level before releasing anything. And possibly I would have sold it as well, you know. I'll probably, because I had a few label offers over the years, and I've had a few people who told me what to do. And by the time I got to a position where I understood how all that worked, I was no longer I didn't want to do it. I don't want to spend my weekends away. I don't want to drive to London for a photo shoot. I don't want to stand, do you know what I mean, etc, etc. It's too much of music industry.
Some of these labels are unrealistic, man. I'm like, at the moment, I'm more than happy just flying the flag independently, because like the way I see it, Trade, is like, if I fail, I've only got myself to blame. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And like I've had like labels get in touch with me, and they've been like, oh, you know, you're just what we've been looking for, and they, like you said, they tell you everything you want to hear and all that. And then like these terms and conditions on this one, bro, it sounded kosher. I was like dead excited. I started getting this like this feeling like, oh my god, so, you know, this is brilliant. When I read the terms and conditions, it was like, you need to write and release a track once a week, every week. Now, thing is, Trade, like, life gets in the way sometimes, and what about if that's a lot to ask of someone anyway.
That's a lot.
But what about if I just don't feel like writing?
Yeah, you're gonna write a dog shit tune.
Do you know what I mean? You just churn it. They just basically wanted me to churn it out, and it was like
license, innit?
And it was quantity over quality, bro.
Yeah, that's a bit.
That was where I kind of took a step back with that, and I said no to them, and they were like, "You're really missing an opportunity here." And you know, you've
got to want it, that whole fame and fortune thing.
Must be.
I mean, when I was about 22, I was like, yeah, cars, girls. That left me. I'm like, bro, and I guess it's because I've been really close to it. Do you know what I mean? I've done gigs multiple times with people who have been worldwide superstars in the hip-hop world. I speak to people regular. I speak to people within the industry. I've got a mate who I speak to all the time who worked at Universal for about 20 years.
Mad.
Do you know what I mean? And and I just don't like it. I just don't like the industry. I don't like a lot of the people in it. I don't like the way they behave. I don't like the way I don't like what you have to subscribe to, sign up to, and most of all, I want to spend more time with my family. I haven't got the time, man, to be a rap star or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
I've kind of more things have been put into perspective more recently. Like, my eldest is 16 now, bro, and she ain't getting any younger, obviously. But like, you know, I took a step back. When was it? So a couple of New Year's Eves ago, I got booked in Birmingham by DJ Temper, big up Temper, and she gave me the New Year's Eve countdown, man, and that's big for an MC, that is, to get the New Year's Eve countdown. Do you know what I mean?
That's dope.
So I got that, and it was fucking wicked, mate. But I'm quite like, I'm very family orientated, bro. And like the little things, like spending time with my kids, I live for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I live for my music, but I live for my kids so much more. Of
course, yeah.
Obviously. And like, I remember on the countdown, bro, like we did the countdown, everyone was, hey, Happy New Year. And I looked round at all these people gurning their faces off, and I was thinking, I don't care about these people, Trade.
I'm
not in the right place.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Do you know the one?
I know exactly.
And I did 2 raves that night. I went to Shrewsbury, did one at the D&B Religion, and then went straight from D&B Religion straight to Birmingham, and did this one. And yeah, man, I I didn't feel like I wanted to be there, and that's mad, because some artists would be like, are you mad? You've had the opportunity here. Come on, do you know what I mean?
And you've worked all your life to get to that position.
Yeah,
it's what you've been working for.
Exactly that, bro. Do you know what I mean? So then last New Year's Eve that came, big up the RCE gang, but Mono from RCE, Run Come Events, he put me on with XOYO in Birmingham, and I was on with General Levy.
Yeah, sick.
Do you know what I mean? And New Year's Eve again, like, put me on the flyer, bro. Sat there, and I thought, do you know what? I don't want to do it. People were telling me I was mad. They were like, Dribbz, what are you talking about? I said, I've already spoke to Mono. I said, I ain't doing it. And they were like, why ain't you doing it? And I was like, I want to spend time with my kids.
Good man.
Do you know what I mean? And I swear to God's trade, guns, I swear to God, bro. Monchi went and ran it. He did it without me and that. And like normally with events, bro, if I can't make it and he can, I get FOMO, bro. I sit at home like, oh man, I bet this event's popping off. It went off,
didn't it? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
one time I'm not there.
Yeah, and I can't help but texting him and going, send us a picture of the crowd, bro. Send us a picture of the crowd. And he even sent it me, and it was Ramo Jamo, bro. Main arena, boom.
Yeah.
And even then, I didn't get FOMO. And all we did was we sat on the New Year's Eve playing board games with my kids, man. And honestly, bro, like, it was the best thing ever. Because the way I see it now in hindsight, like, I look at it now, like the hip hop, I can work with it. I'm not performing hip hop until 3-4 in the morning. You know, it's all studio based really for me with the hip hop. There's the odd 1 or 2 gigs, but obviously the drum and bass, it's a very time consuming thing, man. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I look at the 20, because next year I hit 20 years in this game with drum and bass. Do you know what I mean? And that is, bro, I swear to God, that's not even having a few weeks off, unless I've been on holiday. Like, this is, like, trust me, this is hard at it, man, travelling up and down the UK and further. And like, you know, my eldest said to me, she's like, Dad, like, you know, she didn't say you've missed so much, but there were certain things she said, and it put it into perspective, man. And I was like, I've missed so much, like, because like getting in at 4 in the morning from a rave, the next day, bro, I'm no good for anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm no good as a husband.
Especially when we was young. Did you used to get on it as well when you was younger? Or
no, bro, no, I've never touched drugs, man.
Then flipping out.
Never touched any class A's or
The
anything, bro.
rest of us have to kill the weekend, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad I hardly drink. Well, I say I hardly drink. I drink a lot less at gigs now. Sometimes don't drink at all.
See, I'm teetotal, bro. Like, I don't drink at all. It's not out of choice, man. I'm Jack Daniels and Coke was my tipple, but because I've got rheumatoid arthritis now, I take methotrexate, this medication, and basically it damages my liver. The medication does.
Right.
So churning like alcohol down it as well, it's not good. It's not a good recipe, man. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I'd missed quite a bit of my kids growing up, and like now I'm like, just from living that life, bro. So now I'm just like, do you know what? Like, these things aren't massively important.
Yeah.
But some people in my position would go, "Are you mad?"
Yeah. They would, but I think if they did what you did and then got to where you got, they'd be exactly the same.
Yeah, I think so.
I went on a journey where I was 4 gigs on the bounce, 5 gigs on the bounce. Edinburgh one night, get absolutely shit faced. Birmingham the next night. Then we did London, and I fell asleep. I got there to this gig in South London, and I fell asleep on the chair straight away. Everyone was setting up and that. I slept for the whole time. Someone tapped my shoulder when my set was on. I opened my eyes when I did my set.
Oh shit.
Some people say, a few of the guys with me say it's the best sets I've ever seen you do.
As if
it went off in there, like, in South London's quite like difficult as well. Do you know what I mean? People won't just skank out for no reason, and the crowd was nuts in there, and people were saying it's the best performance I've ever seen and all this. Don't know what happened, like. Finished my set, went straight back to where I was, fell back asleep again for the whole time because I was absolutely exhausted.
Burnt out, bro. Burnt out.
And
man.
I got home, and like, this is probably one of the turning points. I got home, and when I was closing my eyes to go to bed, I thought I wasn't going to wake up. I thought I was going to die. Shit. And it's the last thought on my mind before I fell asleep that I thought I'd felt that tired and mentally screwed up. Like, I was like, I don't think I'm going to wake up, but I was too tired to fight it, and I just
wow, that's crazy.
Fell asleep, woke up the next day relieved that I was actually still alive, but also like fully perplexed and like, worried and thinking I'm burning the candle at both ends.
That's
too
it,
much,
man. That's the one. That's the one. People are telling me that for far too long. They're like, Dribbz, you're burning the candle at both ends. Like, you've got, because I got epilepsy as well, bro. So they're like, you've got epilepsy, and you're staying up till dick o'clock, and you're only having 3 hours sleep, and then getting up the next morning and being a dad and a husband, and then back to it the next day, or radio shows, and man, I had to kind of draw a line trade. You know what I mean?
Got it, man. You got to get a bit of your life. It's a beautiful thing, and music's probably give us a lot.
Definitely.
But you need to rebalance as the years go on and as things change. You have to. You have to, man.
100%. So, do you remember your first radio airplay, bro? And how did that feel?
Man,
I bet you had to get peeled off the ceiling, didn't you, mate? I bet you were
I can't remember which one it was. It definitely will have been BBC introducing.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I can't remember the song, but I remember really believing that I was fucking some different level of musician at that point.
Same.
Yeah, like it was it was going off.
I remember thinking, this is it.
Yeah,
I've made it.
Yeah, you don't realise only Shropshire can hear you. And it's like, well, it's not, because it was digital back then as well. So technically, you could be heard anywhere in the world.
Of course you can, of course you can. We can't play it down BBC introducing, do you know what I mean?
Not at all. You can be heard anywhere in the world. If someone tunes into BBC Shropshire in New York, which they can very well do from a digital streamer, then you can be heard anywhere. It's and I remember I was so I can't remember if I called my mum. I probably did, because I can't quite remember it, but I just know I felt so different about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's funny, isn't it? Like the progression, like, you know, back then when I had my first airplay, it was like, oh my god, I've got to record this and post it everywhere and and like now, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, like I appreciate any radio play I get, but say if like introducing play one of my tracks, I'll get the email to say like, your track has been played, and I'll go, all right, I'll check that out in a few days when I'm free to.
It's very.
I wouldn't have done that back then, man. Do you know what I mean?
It's a standard thing, and I appreciate it and I love it, and I listen to introducing anyway a lot of the time, because I'm always on the lookout for new stuff. But I mean, every single play I used to post about it. Now I still do now, but I use it as content. And,
that's exactly it.
And to support BBC introducing as well, because it's like they've been through a bit of a shit time at the moment,
haven't they?
Do you know what I mean? It's been chopped up, and it's kind of I don't really agree with it. They've
merged
cool that
with
it's
different
still
areas,
there.
haven't they? Now they've merged, haven't they?
And it's cool that it's still there, but I don't think it will ever be the same. And that there was a golden era of that where it was pretty beautiful. I don't think they'll ever get that back.
Yeah, man, 100%. Now, rap culture, with its own unique fashion language and values, it can become quite a significant part of a rapper's identity. How much does adapting to this culture impact on who you are as a person outside of the music, bro?
Like hip hop as a cult, I think a lot of people misunderstand hip hop culture. Do you know what I mean? They think hip hop culture is about rap, or hip hop culture is about music, and what a lot of people miss in hip hop is that hip hop is about community, and it starts with community. It began with community, and obviously this is my opinion, of course, but I'm pretty sure my opinion's right. But it began with community. It started in a park somewhere in or it started in a rave, didn't it? They say Cedric Avenue or something like that, wasn't it? And and it started with the wheels, with them playing the breaks and all that, and supposedly that's where hip hop began. But that began in community. All the ethics and all the idea and the ideology of hip hop as a culture is community. It really is. It's not the music and everything and all that, the graph, the b-boying, the DJing, that's all secondary. And a lot of people think rap is rap, and some people don't even understand that hip-hop comes off the back of the civil rights movement, for example. So someone else, like, there is right-wing rappers now. Do you know what I mean? It's literally, hip-hop was birthed out of people wanting equal rights, black people in America wanting equal rights, and as white people, and then that was the soundtrack to the struggle. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't come from this gangster rap or this Big Bad and BMW and all this. It came out of community. Some of the first hip-hop hits were conscious songs, like White Lines, talking about the problem with cocaine.
White Lines, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything that we see now is just commercialism. That's just something being sold, and what the youth and what people who don't understand hip-hop culture properly feed into the commercial side of it. Not understanding there's deep roots. Like, there's a lot of people that consider certain rappers the greatest rappers of all time that have zero roots to that. And if you've got zero roots to that, in my opinion, it's impossible for you to be the greatest rapper of all time, because you're just a rapper, or you're just technical, or you're just really fast, or that's nothing to. What about the community aspect? What about the civil rights movement? What about the reason it exists? What about the using code to communicate messages amongst communities? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly that, mate.
And
Exactly
I've gone off a little bit, I think, but yeah, all in all, hip hop culture is a lot deeper than people understand. And if you embrace it and understand it, good things generally come your way. And going on to what you were saying about outside of that world, you will conduct yourself differently if you have embraced hip-hop culture.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate.
You will achieve differently as well, I think.
So how important was it for you to find your own voice as a rapper? I mean, like, it's essential to develop a unique style and voice, but how do you navigate influences from older artists while trying to stay true to your own individuality as well?
That's a really good question, bro, to be fair. That comes through development. Like, when I started rapping, I rapped with an American accent, as most UK rappers did.
I was going to say, didn't we all?
Yeah. So, whereas now they don't, so that shows a difference as well. But I think you get to the point where you realise, some people realise, that being true to yourself is the most important thing, and your kind of voice your inner voice and the actual sound of your voice will come out. Who you are will just come out, and I think that's when you actually relax into it, and you're not afraid anymore of just being you. Do you know what I mean? You just I'm happy in my skin now.
Nah, that's a good answer, man. That's a good answer. As a rapper, the relationship between you and your fans, it can be quite personal. Do you know what I mean? Now, how do you balance being open with your audience while protecting your own privacy and boundaries at the same time? Tricky one, that, isn't it?
I don't think I do balance it, to be honest. I think I'm always too open. I'm quite a paranoid person because of like the life I've lived, and I find myself regretting things that I've said and done because I've given too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't think I navigate it very well, to be honest.
That's cool, man. At least you're honest with that, Trade. So currently, where you're at now, then, like, criticism from fans, the media, or even peers, like, it can be tough at times. I'm not saying you do get criticised, but I'm sure, you know, it's come your way. Let's face it, like, everyone that does these things, you don't have to be everyone's cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? How do you stay motivated and confident when you're faced with negative feedback or setbacks? I tend to analyse negative feedback and decide whether it's genuine or not first. Yeah.
And then if it's genuine, I know music like the fucking back of my hand. If you're saying something's wrong, then I'll be able to know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's just like, I've had some bullshit. I remember I had this one review, and he was a guy in Australia done a review on one of my tunes. And in fact, he almost nearly ruined the tune for me because he gave me such a shit review. And I just started to look at it, and I thought to myself, it's bullshit. Like, you are full of shit. And it turned out the guy was a rapper, so I checked him out. And, you know, obviously I'm biased, but he genuinely was dog shit at rapping.
Oh, right, okay.
And so I'm thinking, what the actual fuck? Because I don't care who you ask or whatever says shit. You can't tell me I'm not good at rapping. You can't. It's fucking, I don't give a fuck who you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, if there's one thing I know, I've been doing it for fucking 20 odd years. I should have and will have perfected my craft. Do you know what I mean?
There'd be a problem if you hadn't after all this time.
There'd be an issue. Exactly 100%. Exactly that. It's nothing to do with being special, or it's just work, you know. And so I tend to, if it's valid, then I'll take it on board and I'll use it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's bullshit, then I'll take it on board and I'll use it as anger. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll like regurgitate the anger in another way. Do you know what I mean?
Constructive criticism was one for me. I really had to train myself to take that on board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm good with it, man.
Oh yeah.
So I get it in the studio.
I was like, rough with it. I was
in the studio. Like, every studio I go to, I always tell the engineer or whoever I'm working with in there, I always say, I'm not precious about any of this, because I know how music sounds to another person, and I know how music sounds to me. So when I listen to myself, I'm not hearing what you're hearing. So I need you to tell me what you're hearing, because you're a listener. I'm an artist. I'm never gonna hear, I wrote this shit, I practiced this shit, I know this shit. I need to hear what it sounds like to someone who's like, I've not heard this before. Wow, I didn't get that word. Oh, you said that too. Oh, there's too many words. I need all that. So I'm quite open to it. I invite it. I like it, man.
I really had to train myself to do that. My biggest with this hip hop, and I guess it'll come in time, because, you know, like I said, I haven't been doing it as long as you, and effectively, bro, like, I mean, pointing over here, that was my first album that I released, my first hip hop album. I've done my second one now. That first album was a drum and bass MC trying to do hip hop.
I get you.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My second album,
telltale techniques, like
100%. And my second album, I feel like I found my voice and my kind of style within hip hop. I feel like I found my place now, and I can deliver as a UK hip hop artist. And you probably wouldn't even know that I did drum and bass. It's just an added bonus. Whereas, like I said, that first album, you could really tell. You know what I mean? So, like, my biggest thing now, which I'm guessing it'll come as time, is like, sometimes I'll listen back and my wife will go, it's too many, because she knows the stuff, there's too many syllables in that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's all right. I think it's all right. Do you know what I mean? And then when I sit there and think, oh, actually, you have tried cramming in like so many different words there. Do you know what I mean? So I had to teach myself to take that on board and not think that she was just being, you know, a bit of a shit.
And because you're because you understand the technicalities of rap, actually breaking it down to something simple as syllables. That's probably better. The opinion is probably going to be better than someone who's like, but this means this, and there's a double entendre, and there's the metaphor, and da. So I'm just saying, sonically, I'm hearing da 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 da, and I want to hear da da da. That's it, and it just sounds better. And then you're like, okay, I don't need any other technicalities but that, because that's all music is feeling, isn't it?
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Now, as we said back in the day, you know, we'd make mixtapes on tapes or even CDs as time changed, but now everything has massively changed. Now we put out our music and how we promote ourselves as well. Now, social media obviously plays a huge role in promoting music today, but how has it helped you? Has it hindered your growth as a rapper? And what platforms, and most importantly, you know, what platforms would you use when building your career?
That's another good question, bro. You got some crackers today, man.
Come on.
I've done a lot of interviews and you get monotonous kind of questions, but
I'll take that as a compliment, Trades, because I know you've done a lot of interviews. And there was a bit of pressure when I was writing them. I'm like, I need to up my game with this shit.
Yeah, you got some good ones.
Thank you, man.
It's making me think, and it's also, I haven't been asked them before, which is very
nice.
Yeah, very not normal. So with social media, I think it's a tough one. Most artists I know complain about it, and the streaming money and all that. Like, most people complain about it, but the facts be told, I've had my issue with it as well. It's how you utilise it, and I make more money now than I did back then. Simple as that. And really, that's not directly because of streams, because you don't get shit from streams. It's having access to the world, I think. Do you know what I mean? Like, I played gigs out of the country because of social media. Do you know what I mean? I played big festivals because of social media. I've had support slots because of social media. My music sells out of the country because of social media. Do you know what I mean? It's you know, I would not be sending music to Australia without social media. It's simple as that. Yeah. And then on top of that, I think because I've grown as an artist and I'm different as an artist, I do a lot more workshops, socially conscious kind of activities. That side of the world's open to me as well, so I get booked for a lot of workshops through social media, and I wouldn't know these people from Adam without social media. Even if it's middleman stuff and someone said, oh, you want to speak to it's still happening through social media. So yeah. And as far as and to move on to like the Spotify side of it and the streaming side, and people complaining about the money, it's kind of the same thing, bro. I checked my stats the other day. There's like 10 people in Brazil listening to me. Who the hell are they?
I know, I get that, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And why, I can understand, you know, one or two plays, like I popped up on a playlist, but they've played me consistently since I dropped that EP. So they're like, they've listened to the EP and they've gone, I'm feeling this, and they've added it to a playlist, or they got it on repeat, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that is not happening with it. Like, and I don't know whether I'd swap it for how much CDs you would sell without Spotify. That's another argument or question.
Yeah.
But there's definitely something good coming out of it.
Man. Yeah, I looked on my Spotify for artists, and there was like 8 people in Egypt that were listening. I'm thinking,
mental,
how has 8 people found fucking Dribbz from Telford, like, and they're actively listening to it? And
Mad, because you get the mad ones, don't you? That are like, I get like mad ones, and I'm just like, yeah, you can see you've just put one play in Argentina of one track off an album. You know, that's just appeared, which is cool still. But yeah, when you've got listeners, active listeners,
it's mad.
Doesn't make no sense to me, man.
It is crazy. How do you feel that rap music has changed through the years, bro? Because obviously, you know, when we were younger, everyone looked to the gangster rap. Do you know what I mean? But nowadays, it seems that it's more. And we're not talking about the mainstream stuff, because that's my next question, but it's more about like the controversial stuff now, do you know what I mean, as opposed to like, you know, Tupac and Biggie were rapping about what they experienced over out in America and stuff, and we kind of look to that as a youth, do you know what I mean? But it seems like it's the rap's kind of presented as in a different form now, do you know what I mean, especially with UK hip-hop. It's
been as far as a product goes, it's been completely wrapped up now. So it's not, there were still elements of rough, elements of street, uncontrolled parts of hip-hop. Everything is controlled and monetized now, and that's the difference. So and obviously there's still rap's still rap. I'd say on a technical perspective, people are actually and again, we're not talking about mainstream hip-hop here, but people are actually more technical and even getting even better at what they do. On the production side, obviously it's off the charts now compared to what it used to be. So
definitely
super improvements everywhere.
Yeah, man.
But as far as the whole feel, it's a complete product. There's no the only bit of heart, bit of soul, bit of feeling you get is the artist. Everything that surrounds it now is for sale.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Yeah, I mean, like, you having children like me, how do you feel about the content of this mainstream rap now? Because, like, I ain't gonna lie, mate, some of it's a bit like bit explicit, like, do you know what I mean?
Drill, you mean drill, or
nah, man?
You mean Megan Thee Stallion type shit?
Yes, mate. Yes, mate. It's exactly what I mean. Like, do you think that it's all part of the process? And, you know, do you agree with like how it's all kind of gone like this now? Because, like, you got 7 or 8 year olds that are rapping about, you know, lick my pussy and my crack and all this stuff, and they don't know what they're saying. But yeah, man, like, I listen to it. They're still saying it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, wow.
I think 90s hip hop had it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think 90s hip hop is to blame, because that was where, you know, Little Kim was a bit risque some of the time, Foxy Brown as well. So you had, I
suppose, Missy Elliott was at times as well.
Missy Elliott, yeah, she had some. She wasn't so much like sexually forward, but she had some really vulgar lyrics, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the men, obviously, as well, there was some really vulgar stuff, like, so I think it basically that shock factor that was, so that it was few and far between in the 90s, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and there was a shock factor when you had a track like that, and the industry machine fed into that and thought, well, if that Little Kim track is getting talked about most because she has an orgasm in the chorus,
then let's carry it on. Like,
why don't we just make a whole Little Kim orgasm of an artist? Do you know what I mean? Like, why stop at one tune?
That's very true, mate.
There you have Megan Thee Stallion and all these completely kind of seemingly like promiscuous hoe bags, whatever you want to call them, and it markets like crazy, and it's super sellable. The production on it's tight. The rapping ain't really that bad either. It's a full package.
Yeah, 100%.
I disagree. Yeah, I've got a daughter. She's 14. She's really clued up, super intelligent. I don't need to worry about it influencing her. She's on the money, like, you know what I mean? She sees that for what it is, and she's like, I don't know what that's about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as more impressionable young girls go, because at the end of the day, my daughter's, she's just that way inclined. She's just socially conscious, you know. Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing. I think there has to be a line drawn between entertainment and over sexualization of children's minds.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, man.
Basically.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I get that. All right, so moving on from like, you know, the current music scene, we're talking now, moving on to like performing and whatnot. Now, you went on to, and I might got this wrong, so if I've got this wrong, Trade, then please could correct me on this. So you went on to host your own collection of events. I want to say they were called Beats and Bars. Yeah. Okay. So the Beats and Bars, Spit Roast was in there somewhere, but was that yourself as well, or was that just something that you performed on?
So both of them, Beats and Bars and Spit Roast, was started by other people.
Okay.
And what I did was, for Spit Roast was rap battle, so I was invited to rap battle at the second or third Spit Roast event, and me being kind of, you know, like I said earlier, I'm a hustler. I just get involved and make shit happen, and I did that with Spit Roast. I created like a whole other umbrella of Spit Roast. I got about 20 other artists involved. We created Spit Roast Shropshire, we created Spit Roast Grime.
Nice.
So I helped Ben, who was the main man, I helped him grow it and kind of became a lieutenant, I guess, in the army. And that kind of fizzled out, and Beats and Bars sort of was going up as Spit Roast was stopping, weirdly.
Right, okay.
And,
so were they well attended then?
Yeah, so at first, Spit Roast were really busy. We did the Q Club, and it was called the Rooftop at the time, but it's the old Q Club, and there was like 400 people in there. Like, we were doing, Spit Roast was doing bigger numbers than Don't Flop at the time for crowds. Like,
yeah.
And Innuendo, who's the Scouse rapper who used to rap on Don't Flop, actually he was the one that said, he was like, fucking hell, kid, I tell you what, mate, you got bigger fucking crowds than fucking Don't Flop at the moment. And it was mad. Obviously Don't Flop, they've done ministry, they've had some massive, and I think they weren't doing as well. They've had ups and downs, haven't they, and them, you know.
Definitely.
And yeah, we were doing some really big crowds, and it fizzled out the same way a lot of things done, and went up and down the same way Don't Flop has, I think. And Beats and Bars was the same. We had some. So Trickster started Beats and Bars, and that was the same thing. I think I played at one of the first shows after kind of turning up to watch a few shows, and then asking if I could perform. And then, I did the same thing again, just got involved and said, you know what, let's do this, let's do that. Next thing, me and Tricky just, you know, and some others, but me and Tricky did missions, like I think we did 100, 200 shows a year up and down the country, just me and him and my Ford Focus. And my Ford Focus was 20,000 miles, I think, when I brought it, and I think it was 130 when it died.
Come on. You didn't work for Central Diamond Taxis or anything, did you?
Yeah, mate. I was doing, though, because when I used to do the speed awareness courses and that for running red lights and going too fast, you know, and instead of getting points, you go and do these courses. Yeah. And I'd always be in there, and I'd always be taxi drivers, truck drivers, and me. And and I was like, because we're all doing the same amount of miles. He was saying I do 50, 60,000 a year, and I was like, yeah, I'll do about that as well. And he's like, what do you do? And I was, well, I got a job, but I do music as well.
That's mad.
And it's like, we was doing the same miles as the truck drivers, man.
That's crazy. Now, you mentioned it about Trickster. You know, you've teamed up with the legendary DJ Trickster and Copyright. Now, when you perform on stage, what does it mean to perform alongside them, bro?
Yo, for Tricky, it's a madness, because I used to get a magazine called Hip Hop Connection, and it was your connection to UK hip hop, because it wasn't anywhere, it wasn't in the charts, it wasn't on the telly, Channel U didn't exist. There was this comic, and that was it. There was this magazine, and that was it. That was your only way to connect. And I remember seeing Tricky and Late in Hip Hop Connection.
Really?
And
no way.
And they was from Wolves in it, so I was always watching these like Blade and Rodney Pease and the big London artists at the time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, there was these guys from Wolverhampton. I was like, fuck, my granddad lives there. And it made me believe that you could be a rapper from anywhere. Do you know what I mean? And like Late, I mean, me and Late are friends. Me and Tricky are friends. It's like, I just roll with these guys, and every now and again, it's actually surreal, because I knew Late's songs off by heart before I'd ever met Late. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had a song called Dark Visions, and it got played on Westwood. They were on MTV. They were on Radio 1 a lot. Do you know what I mean? It was big, like, you know, they were when you just before garage and grime hit, there was this UK hip hop was bubbling, and they were there for that, you know. And yeah, there was a song that Late did called Dark Visions, and it was an absolute banger. It's conspiracy theory-esque and would fit in today's world again. And we all knew that song off by heart. Do you know, all of us.
That's crazy.
And then, yeah, to like, just now he's just a normal friend that I've known for absolutely years, and I don't really get gassed about it because he's just my brethren.
Yeah.
But every now and again there's a surreal feeling that as a youth I was like, man, these guys are cool, man. Can you imagine if I roll with these guys? They'd probably get me some gigs. And do you know what I mean?
And there you are.
And now I'm getting them gigs.
And you're calling him a friend as well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, now we sort each other out, you know what I mean? I get them gigs, they get us
crazy,
gigs,
bro.
you know?
Yeah, it was come round full circle. I love that. Now, obviously, you mentioned about the workshops you've done and stuff, and you know, I know you've been involved in many different things around the Midlands and further. How have you found working? Because these workshops, I know you've done like, you know, in the prison work and stuff, but we're talking about working with the youth here. How have you found working with the youth, and what challenges do you face when you do this?
Working with the youth is definitely challenging. It's probably a lot easier for me than it is for people who haven't. You know, I'm an adult version of what they were, so everything they're doing, have done and will do, I've had my fingers in at some point or been involved in, so I totally understand them, and they know I'm that guy. They can tell, so it's a lot easier for me to get along with them, to communicate with them, because they know, they can just tell. I don't know what it is, maybe it's the way I speak, maybe it's my body language. They can just tell this guy's hood. He isn't like, do you know what I mean? He hasn't just read this in a thing in a book, done a degree and come here to tell us about our lives. He's clearly lived it, like, you know, so it's a bit easier because of that. But it's still super challenging. They're still they still are kids. Do you know what I mean? That's the best way to describe it. They're still children, so it can be quite tiring. They're not always engaged. They're not always interested in what you got to say. When you're trying to cross hip hop and rap with like being socially conscious or changing your ways, or, you know, some of the kids do nothing but drill now. So I mean, I won't tell them what music to make, but I say, have you ever explored the idea of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even that's difficult. And it's like, I'm not saying do it, I'm saying think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just think what it would be like for you to write a song arguing with that. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know whether it's right to cut the creativity anyway, but I definitely know it's right to expand on
100%,
creativity.
yeah,
So
100%.
That's what I do. I assist with expansion.
So based on your experience then, I'm going to ask you a question here, mate, and it's probably something for off air, but I'm going to ask you anyway just because we're on it. So I've got the opportunity in April to go into local schools. It's wicked, mate, because it's one of my junior schools that I went to, do you know what I mean, in Donington. So it's it's personal for me, man, because I'm like ex-student, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
But a place called Energize have got in touch with me, and they want me to kind of be the frontman for them going into these schools, because they've basically they're trying to descend upon Donington, but they've tried it already with like mental health groups and stuff, but they rock up with their shirt, tie, lanyard, and you know, the like-minded Donington folk are going, whoa, no, I ain't interacting with you guys, I ain't engaging with you guys. So I think they're trying to use me as a little puppet to go, actually, he can come in because I know Dribbz and I know him quite well, and I've heard his tracks, and you know, I think they're really good, and my mum and dad listen to a lot of his music, and So whether they're using me or not, I don't care, because this is exactly what I want to do, Trade. Yes, of course I do, This is exactly what I want to do. And so in April, I'm going into schools to do a motivational speech about mental health, talking more, and then alongside that, I'm going to be doing a couple of my tracks. And they've said, like, we're starting off with these schools, then we're branching off to TCAT, and then they're on about taking it national, bit of a wider thing. So it's everything that I've wanted to do, bro. Now, my question to you is, do I rock up in my usual attire, as in I'm known for my matching tracksuits, mate, that is me, that's Dribbz, do you know what I mean? Or do I rock up trousers and shirt, which isn't me? What do I do here, mate? Yeah,
you definitely got to be yourself. If there's anything to teach a kid, it's to be yourself. I suppose it is, and to be proud of it and to embrace it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never, all the workshops I've done, I've never changed what I wear. Right. Like, I'm in a matching tracksuit today. Sometimes I'm like hoodie, jacket. Rap mode is always something rappish, and I've never, no matter what I've done, you know, I can't even think of, like, I've had corporate meetings and that and been dressed like I am now.
Fair enough.
But I'm there as a rapper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I'm at work, I'm in a jumper in office mode. So it's like you dress appropriately.
Yeah,
if you're not going there as, you know, you go in there as Dribbz. So you dress like Dribbz.
Okay.
And I think I'm, you know, when I'm Trademark Blood, I'm Trademark Blood.
Yeah. I'll take that, bro.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Cheers for that advice, mate.
Yeah.
Now,
if they tell you different, then I think really you've got an argument on your hands, because
stand by it, like.
Yeah, because I think you're like, I don't know, and if they're using you as the bridge, then what's the point in you going looking like they are?
That's very true.
Up as well.
I've kind of answered my own question there by explaining it to you. I
think so, yeah.
Anyway, aside from your own independent work, you've had the pleasure of featuring alongside many different like-minded artists throughout the years, including Initiative, Conspiracy Industries, Cynical, Midlands Connected, Gold, and Air Clips, and that's just to name a few, man, from back in the day. Now, how do you find collabing with other artists, and how important do you feel it is?
Do you know what? It might be controversial, but I don't think so. When you're starting off in the industry, people tell you to collaborate with people to further your career, to cross-pollinate fans, etc. Because I'm no longer in that need to achieve anything apart from what I want, which is to see more of the world and to perform on stages I've never performed on. It's pretty much it. I don't really see the need in working with anyone that you don't want to work with. So you need to, from my perspective, you need to have an alternate reason to want to work with someone.
Okay, yeah.
Than the what's expected or what's expected from an industry standard.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But the people I work with, everyone I work with, it's because there's something about them that either A, I can't do, or B, that I could do, but they just do it so amazingly. Like Air Clips, for example. It's like the way he raps is like, we know we're both really good, and we know we're both really good in different ways, and every time we get on a track together, I'm always listening to his verses and I'm always like, bruv, that guy's different, you know. and he says the same thing to me. He's like, he sent me a track and he's like, I knew you was gonna kill that, bruv. And it's like, I think it's out of appreciation. I think it's a good way to do collabs out of appreciation for art. But all in all, I think it's I think you don't need to do it. Don't let people tell you that you need to do it, unless you are trying to get out there. Then collab with the world. You know what I mean? Lady Gaga, everyone.
I learned quite a valuable lesson just from trying to be a nice person, bro. Because like this rapper got in touch with me. Of course, I'm not going to mention any names. He ain't from around here, but he got in touch with me, and bro, he's dog shit. Really bad. And his content's all right, but the flow, I mean, when I say I put too many syllables in, Jesus. Anyway, he got in touch with me and he was like, oh man, I've listened to your music for ages, it'd mean the world to have a track with you on Spotify. And he's actually quite a nice guy, and I was like, do you know what, I'll do it for you, mate. And he was like, he sent me the beat and I like slapped this verse on, and that I was really pleased with, and that. And then like it went out on Spotify, and like I can't even listen to it, mate, because like it's awful, man.
Done
like,
exactly
the whole product, the finished product, is awful.
I've done exactly.
Without being big-headed, I quite like my verse on it. Just gonna say that there. It stands
my
out.
Verse is alright.
It is. I'm happy with my verse. And to be fair, I was a bit of a twat really, because when it went out, I grabbed it, and I like just capped off my verse and put it on socials. It's bad, isn't it, bro?
Mate, that isn't even bad. That's
isn't it? I felt like a twat doing
thing.
that, but do you know what I mean? I cut it off as he come in.
I mean, if you're sharing the link to the track as well.
Yeah. But no, I've learnt my lesson on that one, because like, man, I couldn't do that, because that's like a finished product there, and for being a nice guy,
you shouldn't be too open to it. You know what I did? I did a song with a producer who ended up being like some kind of Nazi, basically.
Oh shit!
A Polish producer, and he started. We got into some argument, and it started kicking off, like, and he started spitting all these warped views about race and all that. And I had to take that tune out of the mixtape. Been up there, out of Tricks of the Trade. 1, 2, or 3. One of them I can't remember, but I had to whip it out. Like,
we learn, don't we, bro? We learn.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't need to collab with everyone, and I think you should do it out of love or mutual appreciation. There's some people like that'll say, oh, we do a tune together, and that's all blessed. It's like all the local lot, for example, you, Triple J, everyone local I would do a tune with, and I'd love to do a tune with, because they're local. That means something mutually, because we're from the same, we know the struggles, we know no one gives a fuck about us. We know to achieve what we've achieved should be impossible. Being 100%. From Shropshire, when you can turn up to a rave or be a rapper and say you're from Shropshire, and people will go, all right then.
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
Honestly, yeah.
You have to fight just to be from where you're from, and that's why we've got that mutual understanding, which is, to me, that's a connection to make a tune, which is why you see me always, I'll always work with local people, because all over the world.
I think personally, like, if I'd have, because as I said, I don't like to say too much, but like 20 years in the game next year for drum and bass, like if I was born and bred London and I'd been 20 years in the game, I probably would have made some big waves now. And probably, in my own right, I have made waves, but yeah, like I've had to work that a little bit harder, Trade. You know what I mean? I've had doors closed on me because I'm from Telford and not from even Birmingham. Because I'm 45 minutes down the road from Birmingham, it's been that little bit harder, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Birmingham was the hardest for me. That was like,
really,
like at first, because, and I suppose because I broke Birmingham, that everything else was easier as well. Right. But like when I started battle rapping down there with Spit Roast, and they used to like introduce me and where I was from, and they didn't do it to anyone else, innit? So they're already getting the local Brummie crowd. Just so you know, my man's from up the road, them countryside ways up there. Just so you know, and my guy is from Brummie, innit? So I'm not saying nothing, but yeah, let's let the battle commence. Which is what it is, it's local bias, understood. But I had to I had to body bag MC after MC,
just go straight in,
before people was like, shit.
Mad.
And then all of a sudden there was a change, and all of a sudden, like, everyone in the room's Team Trade now, and it's like, in fact, we love you so much, you're honorary Brummie now, you got a hood pass, and I'm good in Brum now, do you know what I mean? Like, and I got love there, and I got love for them, of course. And it's like, but I had to earn it. I had to earn the stripes, do you know what I mean? And obviously, being from Brum, you wouldn't have had to. You'd just be like, oh, he's such. You still have to be good, but you wouldn't have had to slug it out. I mean, if I had lost those battles or been shit or not been as persistent,
game over,
I'd probably be gone. Yeah,
of course, man, of course. We had to work hard. It sounds mad, bro, because I know like there ain't much hip hop. I'm not going to say there ain't much of a hip hop thing in Shrewsbury, because I've got to big up Ease the artist. Got to big up Mr. Ease, but like the drum and bass wise, like there was times, bro, that because we were from Telford, like 15 minutes down the road, because we were TF, man, like honestly, the earlier days, and it doesn't happen now, I want to put that out there, but the earlier days, like 15 years ago, we'd be at the Butter Market doing our thing on stage, and we'd literally have the Sundawn lads, and I'm talking like, we were young, man, they were grown blokes, and they were like, you wait till you get out of this venue, boy. You wait till you get out of this venue. I'm telling you now, I've just come out of prison, like that meant everything, but I've just come out of prison and I've got this with me, and we're all going to be waiting outside. And true say, bro, they were waiting outside for us. We had to leave out the back door with a bouncer, bro, to get to the car. That was just Shrewsbury, bro. Do you know what I mean? 15-20 minutes down the road. Mad. Now we're welcomed, we're walking there now.
I used to go up Shrewsbury fighting, so
okay, we'll leave it at that.
It was our target market, that was, for scraps.
Come on. Crazy.
I was saying nothing.
Now, like me, I'm going to change the subject really quickly now, like me, you're very proud to rep the area you're from. So what did it mean for you to stand on stage in front of a 10,000 home strong crowd at the Balloon Festival and perform your tracks?
Mate, it's phenomenal, man. I got to big up, like, people have, people say what they say about events in Telford, and there's not enough in that, but they're doing bits, man, and I think they're really trying culturally and creatively to make, especially the summers in Telford, pretty popping. And to invite me was weird at first, because rap just isn't looked at like that. No one really loves rap, and no one loves underground rap. If you're Stormzy, it's blessed. Stormzy could come through, punch the mayor, and they'd still buy him a Nando's because he's Stormzy.
It's right, isn't it? Yeah.
But whereas us, it's like, oh no, that hip hop stuff, no. Do you know what I mean? So for them to have me, like, but essentially headline a day, they give me the chance to put Shropshire Music Awards on, so I'll put another 5 acts on the main stage on the day as well. yeah, the set went down crazy. Like, because this is not a dance festival. This isn't where people are off there. These are people sat down eating picnics with their families.
Innit? Sober
And there's
as
a
a
lot of
judge,
young
man.
people there, of course. But
Yeah.
and so yeah, just for hip hop to be received by that kind of crowd, well, it blew me away. And obviously we catered the set and we made it palatable and
Yeah,
nice
of course,
and
man.
friendly.
Yeah, of course. That was that with Trickster?
Yeah, with
Yeah,
Tricky,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But there was a cute, like when we finished that set, right, I was throwing t-shirts out, free t-shirts out to people, and I said, we got some more, we had the rest and we were selling them, like, and I said, we got some more t-shirts here, and just if you want one, come and see me at the end of the show, bro. The queue, they sold out. The queue was
Sick.
huge.
Yeah, man.
And most of them was kids, bro.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, there was a queue of about 20, 30 kids. Like, and it just blew me away. And I could see, like, Lordy and other people and my missus, and they was all looking like, like, you look like a legit celebrity.
Yeah,
There's a queue. There's adults. There's, my missus was saying them two people are from work there, standing there waiting for an autograph. And,
Mad, eh?
yeah, it was just like, and don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of that kind of, you know, people treating you like you're a celebrity sort of thing when you're not. But yeah, to do it in your hometown was different. I think it made it special, and there's a big crowd there, and I you know, I'm sure a lot of people, like when I see stuff, when people have posted about me online or something, and someone's gone, who the hell is he, or something, and then you just see all these random people I don't know saying, how do you not know Trademark Blood is?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Come on, I don't even need to stick up for myself because my people are sticking up for me.
Yeah.
I had the similar feeling. It was on a much smaller scale, bro, let me tell you that. But I performed at I always play this one down because I always think people are going to go Christmas lights. Obviously knocking around Donington, growing up on the parade and kicking a ball around them streets, bro. The council, they invited me down on the last Christmas lights to perform my tracks. I did an hour set, man, and like it was in front of my home people, bro.
That's
and it was
dope,
pissing it down with rain, man. I woke up the morning, it was fucking pounding. I said to my wife, I went, people ain't going to turn up for this, bro.
Cursed.
honestly, man, when I stepped up on stage, like people were there, like Donington, it came out in its numbers, man, and like they were even holding umbrellas, just getting pissed on, just watching my whole set, bro, and like
that's dope.
it was a mad feeling, and like honestly, man, there was a lot of people there, and they just kind of come for my set, and I know that because after I finished my set, they dispersed, bro. Do you know what I mean? And they weren't there before I got on. Do you know what I mean? They were just there for that hour, and afterwards, bro, I had caps, I had t-shirts, I had my albums. Like you said, I know it's a much smaller scale, but mad queue down the parade, man. They were all queuing up, these kids, to have not only buy the caps, they wanted me to sign the caps and have little pictures with them and stuff. Yeah. And seeing these youth, these little ones having pictures and that, it was just not
engaged with rap,
man. It was just like, I might be opening their eyes to hip hop here, like, do you know what I mean? This is a beautiful thing, do you know what I mean? And even like these blokes come up to me and go, I'm not normally into me rap, I don't really normally like me rap, but you've really changed my mind. I just thought, wow. Do you know what I mean? If you can change someone's mind.
I always find it weird that people say that, because you can take it two ways, can't you? Because it's like they say, I don't really like rap, but I like you. So it's like either I'm not rap or you haven't listened to rap.
Yeah.
And you also think, actually, mate, you do like rap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
You just think you don't.
So following on from the the home crowd at the Balloon Festival, you then also wrote the theme track for Telford's first ever drone and light show, mate. That's something special, man. Do you know what I mean? That's a first for Telford, where your track was played while the show was being unveiled to a packed out Telford arena. That must have been pretty special, right?
Yeah, that was. Yeah. Do you know why? It's special? Is
Why is that?
Because Telford, like, I was born here and all that, but actually on my dad's side, my family go back here way before any of this was here. Like, I've got family, they're on the War Memorial outside the Iron Bridge.
Oh, wow.
They helped to build the Iron Bridge. They lived there before the Iron Bridge was there. Do you know what I mean? So to actually write something about the heritage of Telford, I felt was proper. It felt like it made sense. I won't say, it felt right. Do you know what I mean? It seemed right to ask me to do it because of that history I've got and that understanding of the heritage of the area.
Love that.
And the connection, you know.
Yeah, love that, because it was proper personal, wasn't it? I wasn't there, but I watched the thing back, man, probably about 4 or 5 times just to listen to you know, the content that you were, and it was personal, bro.
Yeah, it was.
You know?
It was kind of like, it was on a level of trying to change people's opinions of the town and of each other, and was trying to bring people together. And there's so much. I mean, this guy, the Shropshire lad, innit? The guy who does Adam, that does the cooking, man. He tagged me and he said, he tagged me and said, you know what, I've never felt more proud to be from Telford.
That's wicked,
and
mate.
It was that one comment, because obviously there was a lot, but that one comment really stuck with me, and I thought that is exactly what I wanted to do. We're leaving the year, COVID happened, this happened, that happened, it's been tough, and I just wanted to put that positivity back.
Nice.
You know.
Yeah, love that. And while we're talking about performing in front of large crowds, you also got the opportunity to perform at the Utilita Arena for the World Trampoline and Gymnastic Championships. Firstly, bro, how the fuck did that come around? Were you a keen gymnast in your spare time,
That
bro?
was off the back of the balloon festival.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, someone watched me perform at the balloon festival and just said one of the best sets I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They were connected to the gymnast thing.
Right.
Said, oh, do you want to write something for this? And yeah, that just happened like that. But yeah, that's a big old venue. That
Ain't
is,
it just,
my
mate?
gosh,
Ain't
man.
it just?
I think there was thousands there, and it didn't look, and it wasn't very busy. Do you know what I mean? For them, it's like they probably had a bad day. For me, it's like there's 6,500 people here. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, but there's 6,500 empty seats too.
Yeah.
It's a big old place.
Yeah,
man.
for sure. You've also had the pleasure of performing at our fantastic local festivals, Parklands and Heel Festival. Both of these I hold quite close with respect and gratitude for what they're both doing for our scene and bringing music to our sleepy town of Telford. You know, I mean, obviously Heel Festival, Shrewsbury. How did it feel for you to be involved with both of these brands?
I feel honoured, man. I like just to be. I understand why I'm considered for stuff, because you know, rapping. You know, it's not like bands in Telford, is it? Where there's a lot of competition. I mean, you're talking about 500, 600, 700 bands, maybe. There's nowhere near as many rappers, so you're going to get more of a look in. But yeah, I feel honoured to be involved anytime. They're both doing amazing things. You know, we really need it. We need more. We need this scene to be embraced more. We need local music to be embraced more. We need more entertainment venues and ideas and labels. We need so much.
Yeah.
That this is just a small part of it. So yeah, I'm glad to kind of be around and being a little part of it, you know.
Yo, this is Tej, and you're listening to the Dribbz Talk podcast. Keep it locked and enjoy.
Now we're just going to touch quickly on, well, this is definitely worth talking about. Now, Shropshire Music Awards. So, am I right in saying it was 2022 that you set up the first Shropshire Music Awards? Or we're going way back?
2023 was the first one, yeah. What
initially made you decide to do this, bro?
It's a good question, man. I think so. I've always wanted to have a company that did for other people what I didn't have. So I wanted to, what took me 10 years, I wanted to be able to do for someone in a year, and say, yeah, this took me ages because I had no guidance, help, contacts, connections, understanding, knowledge, etc. But now that we've got it all, I can make it concise and I can show you this, and if you want to follow this path, and here's how it's done, sort of thing. So that was the idea, and the idea was to create a company that facilitated that, preferably a community interest company, so that you can utilise funding and things like that. It's slightly easier than a limited, for profit company.
Yep.
Yeah, and so COVID kind of, although I didn't stop working at COVID, I still worked from home. I wasn't gigging, wasn't going out as much, so I still had a lot more spare time. So I started to formulate the company, and while I was thinking about how to launch it and how to kind of, add these kind of pieces to a 5 or 10 year plan, what elements can be involved, the Music Awards just made sense as an event, because I thought, well, this is part of it, because there's no recognition, is there? So as much as you do need labels, and you need managers, and you need studios, and you need events and spaces and money and infrastructure, you also you need to be recognised once all that stuff's happened. Do you know what I mean? So possibly I did it backwards to how it should be done.
Yeah.
But of course, to set up an entire infrastructure would take years.
Definitely,
so I've kind
mate.
of jumped to the end.
Yeah.
And just for people being recognised and congratulated. I've seen some phenomenal bands in acts in general, not just bands, singers, rappers, whatever, but bands in particular, because I've seen so many. I've seen some bands that have been like, do you know what, I've been at Glastonbury, well, I haven't been at Glastonbury, I've been at V Festival and Global Gathering and different kind of festivals, and I've seen some amazing acts, and the act I've just watched in the Talbot or something are equally as good. And that needs to be recognised. Some of these guys are world-class musicians. Like, they might not even know it themselves, but they are.
Yeah.
And that needs to be, just because they're not, you know, they haven't sold their soul to a label or got a £300,000 mortgage from Universal to release music, doesn't make them any less of an artist. In some ways, it makes them more
100%.
of an artist. And they just needed to be recognised.
Yeah, man. Now, there's many positives to putting on these events, I'm sure, but talk to me about some of the negatives. Talk to me about some of the negatives you've experienced when you've been putting on and planning these events.
I'd say negative, but everything's a learn, I think.
Right.
So even the negative stuff, it's like failure, innit? If you fail at something, definitely going to do it better next time. So it's a win, isn't it? A loss is a win in that regards. But I'd say part of it is definitely, I think, people look from the outside in and try to tell you how something should go without actually doing it themselves. And for some reason, they think their little kind of 28-second sentence that they've just told you somehow equals your 2.5 years of non-stop work and sleepless nights and blooming stress and anxiety. And somehow their sentence is somehow assisting in that length of work. Oh, what you should do is this, what you should do is that. I'm all for opinions, and some of them are great, but I think it's when they try to say you should have done this, or this is the way to do it. It's like, you haven't got a clue about the way to do it, because you wouldn't even get to the first 10% of what I've had to do this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I genuinely, without trying to be too much of a hater or negative, I genuinely resent those kind of people that say it. Do you know what I mean? And that get involved in that way, because it's like you have to go through this entire process before I'm even going to listen to what you've got to say
100%.
and acknowledge it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So moving on, I mean, the level of battle rap that I want to talk about here, because for me, as well as, you know, a very good recording music artist you are, you know, you're also very well known for your battle raps, and they were things that I used to enjoy back in the day. I used to look out for the latest one from yourself, do you know what I mean?
Sure,
and it first got me into like the whole battle rap in general from yourself. I then went on to other battle rappers and you know, looked at other people, and so going forward, you know, the earlier days of you performing, it was no secret that you were one hell of a battle rapper, and I used to watch your battles like all the time. And the one thing that really sticks out in my mind with these battles was the one against Jeffers. That one I really enjoyed, and the one against Izzy Gibbs.
Oh, Izzy,
man, I love that one. And to me, the point that I really enjoyed, the iconic part.
I parented him, didn't I?
You parented him, mate. When you say bodied him, you bodied him, bro. Now, when you pulled out them long bits of material and was like, "I've got your eyebrows."
Oh, that was Wizzy.
Was that Wizzy?
That wasn't
okay,
Izzy Gibbs. That was
one.
Wizzy.
That one I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. But yeah. So I want to know what's been your most memorable battle rap, and why? Can you think of a specific one that you're like, yeah, that was up there with some of the best I've done?
I'd say the one with Jeffers was the most enjoyable,
was wicked,
because it was tough, and he wasn't no pushover, and he wasn't going to be intimidated by me. He knew lyrically he could match me, and he's comfortable, and that was a challenge, I think, and I had to write for him. But I don't know. Funnily enough, I'd say I did one at City of Colours Festival against Shawnee B, and who's actually came on leaps and bounds. I wouldn't battle him now. He's killing it. Like, do you know what I mean? Maybe it's an effect I had on him, but back then he was still coming into himself, whereas I was already firing on all cylinders. So I'd say I 3-0'd him quite easily, but I was really proud of my structure, and I really worked on the wordplay. And I was most proud of them 3 rounds because of how I think there's still like a lot of it went over people's heads, and it made me that's what I want. I want you to not get it until you really listen to it, and then you're like, oh my god, you know what? He's just twisted that inside out and referred back to that first verse without you knowing, and all that sort of stuff, you know. And so that's the one I'm most proud of. But I say that one with Wizzy's probably that because the crowd just ate it up, and that was an event that we put on that was Birmingham versus Shropshire.
Okay,
so we had a minibus of man from Shropshire. After General, he came. Ash one came. Oh, there was loads of us, man. I can't even remember everyone now. Some of the Shrewsbury man as well. Carter. Potential. I can't even remember all the people that was there. But there was a full minibus. So 16 of us rolled down, and there was maybe like 8 battles on, and every battle was Birmingham versus Shropshire.
Nice.
And obviously me being the organizer and everything, I'm like head coach going down with my team, innit?
Of course,
so
man.
I had to represent, bro.
Of course
you know what I mean?
Of course you did.
And and so obviously having 20 Shropshire man in a room with, you know, maybe 100 Brum man who all know me because I'm not a stranger at this point. They're on in my corner too. So I definitely had the crowd on my side before I started, and just the way the way everyone reacted to it was just a really do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And I think a lot of people thought that Wizzy was going to beat me because he's cheeky. He was cheeky with it and funny, but he just, I don't know, he could have done a lot better than that. I've seen him better, so I don't know what happened, but he got
worked in your favour anyway, didn't it, bro? Whatever happened. There's people out there that think these battle raps are like strict, genuine beef between two rappers, you know, and I'm sure in some cases they are. Of course, but, you know, from a lot of it, I guess that, you know, when you pick up the mic, it's business, and then after it kind of gets left. Am I right in saying that? Or have you seen some cases where it's gone a bit further than that?
I've seen loads of cases where it's gone too far, and I think the problem is that it's in the battle rap that we do, it's too underground to be people's jobs. So we're not, you know, this isn't my 9 to 5. I think if you were doing it as a job, it would be way more professional, a bit like boxing. Even the feuds in boxing only occasionally boil over to something beyond, you know, playing up to the camera, etc. But whereas we're still just everyday people with everyday jobs and everyday lives and whatever. And I think that's where people get confused, because they're like, this is battle rap, but it's like, no, this is in battle rap in the street, bruv. We're not all getting £2,000 a show and this is our career. We're in the hood, bro. Yeah. So that's what people forget. But you know, I seen these two friends battle in Stoke, and the one friend knew that the other friend's missus had a miscarriage.
He never dropped
and
that in there.
And he dropped it in. They were like best friends, or good friends. The missus was in there at the time, and so like he starts dropping this, and he was going in like, if you wasn't so shocked, you'd actually respect the wordplay and the bars, because he was barring off as well. He wasn't playing, and the girl ran out crying.
Shit.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and there were serious conversations about where the line is that day, because I would have punched him like facts. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been like, this ain't our job. We are still in the street, bruv. You're still talking to me and I'm still listening. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of people will say, nah, it's battle rap, everything goes, and no bars barred. And that's very true, but you are not. It's not without consequence.
No, of course not.
It's not I can do and say whatever I want, and there is no consequences. You've got to be prepared for consequences too.
Yeah, 100%.
You know.
Now,
and even with, sorry to
all right, bro,
carry on, but
yeah.
even with Jeffers, there was some stuff I said in the third round about his daughter that I wouldn't really. A lot of the stuff I said in battle raps I wouldn't do now. I'm too mature for it. Yeah. But back then I was still a bit of a beast and a bit of an animal, and wanted to really like go in on people and offend people as badly as possible. That was the aim, like. And I think usually after a battle you sit down and you chat with the guy, and actually Jeffers, I think, took that round too much to heart, I think, and we didn't really speak. And I think he probably felt I underhand got him, and maybe I did, I think, because it was all lyrical until that point, and then I was like, oh, well, here's the finisher. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't even matter how good my bars are, this is disrespect.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I think he was probably a bit a bit pissed that it ended that way, and a bit pissed that I took it away from a clash of two really good lyrical people and took it back to the street. But unfortunately, that's who I am, innit?
Is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've found that, you know, he caught feelings in a way that he probably didn't need to, you know. But yeah, it's difficult. They're saying, like, these are people's hobbies, man. Like, this is not people's job. Battle rap, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Like, rap is it's a second job to me. These workshops and this music I make, this is a second job. So it's professional. Battle rap, when I did it because it was cool and because it was fun and it was something to do.
And you did it very, very well. And that's kind of what I just at least wanted to touch on, you know, the battle rap, because that's what a lot of people know you for, bro, especially back then anyway.
Back then, definitely, yeah. Someone told me to be careful how much I battled, because they knew I'd been releasing music before I ever started battling, and they said, be careful how much you battle, because people will call you a battle rapper. And it did start happening for a while, and it was like, oh, we got battle rapper even when I went on the radio, it's like, we got battle rapper trademark.
Oh, serious?
And it's like, I'm going on the radio about my music, so why are you calling me a battle rapper?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Crazy. Now, you recently dropped your latest album, which is called Tetracycles, sorry, and this is available on CD and vinyl in HMV in Telford to purchase right now. Alongside this release, yourself and Copyright performed the album in HMV to a packed out store. How did it feel to do this in a public, intimate venue in your hometown, bro?
It was cool, man. It was very cool in HMV. It was cooler than I thought it would be, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Like, the vibe in there was nice. Yeah, I think the sound complaint added to it, because we like to be... we're hip-hop to the core, innit?
Yeah.
So really we want someone to tell us to turn it down so that we can turn it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you did make quite a bit of a rolling joke over that, didn't you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I love that.
But
The
there
way
was
you
stuff falling
incorporated
from the ceiling and that when we cranked the bass a little bit, and we could see like bits of the ceiling coming out. And I was looking at Carl and I was going, this is hilarious. I went and whispered to him, because we seen the security guard when he come in and that. And then, I mean, I won't say what the guy at HMV said, because it's, you know, it's his job and that. But we had a good laugh, man. And yeah, it was surreal, I suppose, being in. It's not the first time I performed in the town centre, funnily enough, but it's the first time I performed in a shop in the town centre. So last time I performed where the Green Frog is.
Oh yeah.
And it was part of a world record attempt for the longest ever variety show.
Wow.
And we actually did it, so technically everyone in that show held the world record at some point, which I don't put in my bio, but I should actually.
You should, bro. You should.
World record once upon a time.
Come on.
But yeah, I think it was T-Cat and a few other people that organised it, and I just went up and did a set. And yeah, same thing again, sort of surreal feeling, and you know, going somewhere where you went shopping and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you're rapping in there, and you're kind of like the reason people are there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when I did it, man. It was like, you know, I'd do a rave with fucking hundreds upon hundreds of people, but it'd be in a dark, dingy rave with lights and lasers, and then all of a sudden I'm thrown onto this HMV stage, and it's like all light and like it's intimate, do you know what I mean? And my family have come that don't necessarily come to raves to watch me, so this was a perfect time they could come and see me and do, you know, and yeah man,
in decent circumstances.
It was it was a good thing. It was a good thing.
It's very weird compared to a rave, definitely.
100%.
I've done quite a few of them though. I did a church once, man, and I got booked to play a church, and it was through a mental health organisation, and it was in Birmingham. I can't remember Erdington. It was in Erdington, and so I took a set, a pretty standard Trademark set with a bit back and you know, a couple of my mental health type tracks and stuff. And yeah, and I got there thinking that it would still be a gig as such, and I got there and it was Sunday service-esque, so everyone was sat down, there was a mic there, and it was for the first few songs it was super awkward and weird, because everyone's like that and no one's into hip-hop really. So, and then after that I did my Stephen Lawrence track, and then everyone kind of changed and went, hang on a minute, I can actually get with this, you know. But yeah, so I've been in so many, and all those weird ones, like for anyone listening that wants to kind of become better live, you've got to go and do them weird tough ones.
100%, yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Now, aside from the hip hop, you've also stepped out of the box and from what I know anyway, you featured on a drum and bass track called No Conform, No Comply with my good friend Bassface. Was this a challenge for you to step out of the world of hip-hop, and how did you find the whole process of working with Bassface?
Yeah, I mean, it's always every song's a challenge, man. I think it's a challenge to deliver what you want to deliver. It's a challenge to get it right. It's, you know, because what you think compared to what you what happens are two different things. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd say that the pace of drum and bass I don't struggle with. But it depends how you ride it, really, I suppose. Like there's a very kind of simple way of attacking a drum and bass song that I kind of did in that I did on that song. But I can, you know, I mean, I used to do it as a kid, like, and freestyle it, so it's not completely foreign to me. I don't make, release or record drum and bass as such. So I did one with Pixel and I did one with Bassface, and I think that's it. That's all I've ever done and released. But it's fun. I love doing it, man. I'm planning on doing some more, to be fair. But when I'm drowning in music as usual, so it's somewhere on the back burner.
One step at a time, bro. So reflecting on your own personal journey within this music then, and all the opportunities that have come your way, is there anything that you would have done differently a second time around, and do you have any regrets?
A lot of people say don't have any regrets. I struggle with that, and maybe that's something I need to address myself, really, to try not to have regrets. But I mean, I have regrets about sort of every aspect of my life. I think with music, I think what I would have done differently is I would have worked on perfecting more quickly and then marketed it more effectively. Yeah. And I would have, at the time when I wanted to be out there and gigging and even sign to a label and be on One Extra and all that, if I had have done, I know how to do that now, basically. I didn't know how to do it then. So if I was back then now and I could tell myself exactly how to do it. And it would involve going down to London and being down there a lot and being around the right type of people, going to conferences, doing free shows, doing a lot of shit for free, and kind of getting yourself out there, being a nicer guy as possible, etc., etc. All that shit I could not be asked to do right now. I would have done, because I know the blueprint now to that, and it's just a shit ton of work.
And I suppose that's come with experience. You wouldn't have known that back then because, do you know what I mean? You had an experience to all these different things. Like,
exactly.
And finally then, what do you hope that my listeners take away from this podcast, Trade? I'm guessing a better understanding of yourself as an artist.
Of course, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, it's all good to kind of know a bit more about me, but I think the main thing is just like the hip hop, the stuff we were talking about with the hip hop culture. I think it's being lost, like what hip hop is, and I hope that I'm a representation of what it should be and what it is from a community perspective, but also from a lyricist perspective and a hard working perspective, and trying to be the best. So I hope that is shown, because I want people to understand that hip hop culture is not just, oh, I'm a rapper, rap. It's not just rap. Apart from the other, I'm not even talking about the other elements, I'm talking about being an MC in hip hop goes beyond how technical you are or how cool you are, or how much money you've got, or you know, and it needs to be respected as such. Like, people respect kung fu because of the art of it, and they might understand the history and they might understand the stances and why they exist. And so why isn't hip hop treated like that? Why have we just got, oh, this guy's a rapper, he's a rapper? Do you know what I mean? And you say to him, oh, what's your take on how, like I was saying before, what's your take on how hip hop's rooted in the civil rights movement, and it all grew out of this? And they're like, oh, what's the civil rights movement? Fuck off, mate. Like, nah. So I'm hoping more than anything that I am a representation of hip hop in a positive way, so people understand hip hop culture a bit more. You know?
I think you're definitely that, bro. You're definitely that. And now, this just brings me to my favourite part of the show. I like to drop on a few quick fire questions, bro. There's no right or wrong answer. You can choose to pass them, but I know you, Trade. You ain't going to be passing these questions. Right, let's do
put
this.
a drum and bass beat on.
Nah, man. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be, bro?
Invisibility.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's the most common answer across my guests. That
Is it really?
Yeah, man, 100%. If you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Curry goat.
Yeah, man.
Blah.
If you could have one song play each time you entered the room for the rest of your days, what would it be?
I'd say American Pie by Don McLean.
Okay. Have you ever had, this is a bit of a cliche one here, bro. Have you ever had, it depends what you believe in here, a paranormal or an unexplained experience?
Yeah, I had one when I was in a nightclub, and I felt like I'd had a message from someone to tell me that I shouldn't be there.
Serious?
And it felt holy as hell. It felt like I was being communicated with by a Holy Spirit, and they were saying, this place is nothing but sin, and I want you to leave.
Wow.
And
Did you get out?
I went to the bar and bought a shot.
Come on.
No, I really did.
No way. That's crazy.
But for 1 minute, it was a holy experience. Yeah. Weird.
If you could snoop through one person's private life, who would it be?
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. I don't even know. Snoop through someone's private life. It'd have to be a politician, and it doesn't really matter which one, really. Just one that appears corrupt. You know, from I forgot his name now. Boris Johnson, the current Prime Minister, anyone like that, because I'd like to know. I'd like proof and facts of what I think is probably happening.
Yeah. Have you ever had a celebrity crush, and who is it?
Loads. A really young one that my missus always takes the mick out of me about is Mariah Carey. I had a poster on the wall and pretty much in love with it.
I think I've been there as well, bro, to be honest with you. My one was Mel C from the Spice Girls. My missus is like, out of all the Spice Girls, you like Mel C? I'm like, come on.
Come on, man.
I think I was just a bit of a sucker for a girl in tracksuit bottoms, if truth be told, brother.
You know what I mean? Rocking them Adidas, you know what I mean?
What's the most random thing you've ever seen at a house party?
I don't know. Don't think it can be aired, but
then don't.
The most I'll tell you a really random thing. We used to have house parties at my house when my mum wasn't there, and it was a secret. My mum didn't know about it, and we really shouldn't be doing it. And for some strange reason, one of the lads who had found himself upstairs and had answered the phone to my mum.
Oh shit!
Yeah, what a genius! And that's where they ended.
I can remember being at a house party in Donington, and this is truth, man. I remember being at a house party in Donington, and next door there was this woman who was having a bit of hanky-panky while her husband was away, and her husband turned up, man, outside, and he was like screaming and shouting, and we were like, lads, come to the window, have a look. Well, a few of the lads, they didn't settle at coming to the window. They went to the front garden, and you know, they were like the other side of the hedge, like having a look and looking over the fence. Mate, the chap's like, I know he's in there, and she's like, leave it. He's like, get him out here now. I shit you not, right? A half-naked dwarf in his boxers ran out of the house and legged it down the road, mate. He must have been doing about 80 miles an hour down the road. His little feet... Mate, it was just like, did that really just happen?
Wow.
Did that really just happen?
I don't think it did, man. It must have been mushrooms.
Been tripping. There's me saying, I'm too tall. What's one sport that people enjoy that you think is just plain daft, bro?
Golf.
That's the most common answer.
Yeah, no idea.
Golf and F1 is the most common answer, bro.
Yeah, no idea the enjoyment. I've played it, and yeah, crazy golf, even pretty shit, to be honest, but at least playable at the least.
Yeah. What's the most ridiculous fashion trend that you've ever rocked?
I don't know, man. I'm pretty stylish, to be honest, bro. I'm swagged out.
You got swag these days.
Swagged out dripping, fam. I did the shell suits, but they were cool back then.
Of course
so I
they
don't
were,
know.
of course they were.
Let me think. What was whack? Do you know what? I had some quite wide bell-bottom jeans, and that was like TF1 days.
Was it?
So I was rocking like what equivalent of flares. And didn't think nothing of it, and then started looking at some old pictures and that, and even some of the videos I did with Ash One for that Rubber Duck magazine, and you can see these super wide jeans that just keep getting wider at the bottom, man. I look at them and go, what the hell? Why did I look in the mirror and think that looked all right?
That's when, like, we all used to rock the FUBU jeans, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, at least FUBU were one length. They didn't keep coming out at the bottom into some, hood.
If you could communicate using one word for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It would be, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I love that. What's the weirdest food combination that you secretly love, Trade?
I don't know. I do have a curry patty and super noodles.
Okay, that's all right.
Which is not that weird, but that's about as weird as it gets for me.
Okay,
I'm good with my diet. I'm pretty good with it, man.
What's the most random gift you've ever received? This is the last couple now, Trade.
Random gift I've ever received. I can't even think of anything.
That's fine.
No one buys me gifts.
Oh, see, if you're listening to this, man, get Trade a gift. Don't matter what it is. It can be flares, it can be white jeans. let him relive the old days. What's the weirdest smell that you've ever smelt?
Heroin.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Do you know what, mate? I'd never smelt crack until I was at a rave in Birmingham not so long back, actually, at PST.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of chaps, and they asked to go on the mic, and obviously I said no. And they come rocking up to me, and the one took a big toke and just blew it straight in my face.
What a wanker.
Trust me, yeah. I thought it was like next level of disrespect, personally, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like straight in my face, and it was a smell that I'd never smelled before.
Yeah.
My mate was like, that smell is rock like, and I'm like, oh shit,
what a prick.
Yeah, nice of him. That was really nice of him, just for the sake of not having to go on the mic. If you could be any flavour of ice cream, what would it be, bro?
Toffee.
Yeah
man, toffee.
All about toffee, mate. What is one thing that you own that you really wish you didn't?
I think I've still got my pan scales, to be honest, from back in the day.
Yeah.
Less said about that, the better. But I kept them as a souvenir, and I've still got them.
Yeah. And finally, bro, what's your guilty pleasure TV show or a movie that you don't really tell anyone about, but now you're going to announce it to the whole of the fucking podcast? He's a sucker for a chick flick, our trademark is.
I don't know. I like The Good Place. Maybe that was a bit weird, but I thought it was brilliant.
That's all right.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, that's
all
right,
amazing.
Bro. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. What else? Let me think of something weird. I tell you what. What is the one where they buy the house in the sun? Oh, it's daytime television, really.
I think it's called Place in the Sun, bro.
Place in the Sun, yeah. That I get sucked into that. Yeah. I really do, yeah. And it is. I know it's whack. And every time I'm like, 40 grand for that, Bab. Can you believe it? Bloody hell! 2-bedroom in Costa del Sol, 40 bags.
It's funny you should mention that, because when I interviewed MC Lively, he was saying the same thing. I was like, "What's your biggest celebrity crush?" He was like, "Every female I've only in the Place in the Sun." And I'm like, "You serious?" He's like, "Every one of them, bro. They just massively does it for me." I think it's a TV program in general, mate, to be honest with you. But anyway, that wraps up the Dribbz Talks podcast, man. How have you found it?
It was dope, brother.
You enjoyed that,
you do a good job. Like I said before offline, bro, you do a really good job at this, and you're very professional, and yeah, big up, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. I'm sorry if I kept you for so long, man, but if the listeners are interested, they'll listen. Do you know what I mean? And I tend to find that with my podcasts, although they are quite lengthy, people tend to like dip in and out of them. Do you know what I mean? Like commuting to work, or like, because there's obviously no cameras present yet, because you work with what equipment you've got. Like people will do like, they'll put it on while they're doing the housework or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them where you can just pick up and check in every now and again. But this has been Dribbz. It's been Trademark on the Dribbz Talks podcast. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to me, Trade. I fully appreciate it, bro.
Big up, brother. All good, man.
And all the usual guys, man, subscribe, like, share. We're all fighting the algorithms, each and every one of us, man. So giving it a little like or a share, it goes a lot further than you'd ever know. So big up to everyone, have a blessed week and keep it locked. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say.